Happy Monday, everybody.
It is a happy Monday. Monday is my new favorite day.
Yeah?
Well, yeah, I had one of those flashes of gratuity. Thankfulness. What's the word I'm trying to think of?
I don't know.
When you're
the sentiment.
appreciative or thankful, but it starts with the letter G.
Gracious?
No.
Grateful?
Gratitude. That's the word.
Yeah, grateful.
I said gratuitous instead of gratitude.
Yeah, maybe
I had a moment of gratitude where I realized, like, you know, my quote-unquote hardest day of the week is pretty rad. It's you show up and you talk and you give opinions and you get to connect with your friends and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Can you tap your mic for me, Andrew? I don't know if you're on the right mic. Yeah, you're not on the right mic.
I'm gonna try to work through the new Skype interface.
Oh, right.
Oh, did Skype update?
Good luck.
Yeah, he's on the Mac. Got a new user interface.
Oh, geez.
It is garbage.
Justin's a little rough around the edges too. Is that a bandwidth?
Yeah, we tried to. We
Oh,
made the call
sorry there.
that
Is this volume
we'd
better?
rather my audio be off the PR40 and the video be shit than try to go off the phone and get kind of the opposite.
Tap on your mic, Andrew. Yeah, that's it. You're good.
Is that a yes? Okay, cool.
Oh God! Oh, I'm gonna mute you while you do that.
It's got to be thorough, guys. How about
Man.
I'm good on my side.
Hey, Justin.
Yes.
When do you head out to Vegas?
Wednesday afternoon/night.
Okay. It sounds like we're confirmed for our guests on tomorrow's Night Attack.
I mean, that's we don't have to keep that a secret, do we?
Well, no, we don't have to. I just am exercising normal hygiene in case you thought that we did. No.
Yeah.
Matt Donnelly said, hold on, his exact text, which I think we could take as gospel. He wrote, "Okay, great. I'll check in with Paul and we will make it happen." So, good.
Following up on my email from earlier, do you need me to set up the technical confirmation stuff with them so they know how?
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
Andrew?
Sorry, that's the reason I wrote him, just to get confirmation. And at this point, I would say the tech stuff would be a good idea to reach out. You need
can
email?
you bridge that then? 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't have any contact with them.
Okay, here. Let me do that right now.
Next robot saying, yes, we need to keep it secret that Night Attack is tomorrow. Supposedly, our makeup front page is tomorrow.
Oh yeah, what do you think the odds are on that?
Justin sounded like... It sounded like
Yeah. I mean, as it was explained to me, we will be on the front page tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, it was...
What?
I mean, then again, we were also told we were going to be on the front page last week, and it didn't happen. So, in all things in life, it's a 50-50 proposition. Either it will
Front page of
happen
what?
or it will.
what?
What's up, Andrew?
Front page of what?
Twitch? .tv?
Maybe you've heard of it.
I'm just thinking, considering you're, sleeping with somebody who works there, what more can you do,
Shh.
That can. We need to talk about your technique. What's the problem?
I mean, look, man, I'm just saying. I don't want it out there that I'm slutting it up to the top.
We were watching an old episode of NSFW on the Rewind yesterday. Check it out on the weekends. With that episode with Man from Man vs. Game.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
great.
And it was because he was on Twitch at the time. And it was funny because I don't know if it was Brian or Justin. I think it was Justin who kept saying twitch.com instead of twitch.tv.
It's a long time. I mean, look, that was when Twitch was fairly newly formed too. Like when it was just the kind of outgrowth of Justin TV.
It was a sub brand, like, hey, here's a crazy experimental side jag thing. So I saw Heel Bill, the hillbilly psychic.
Yes, I keep meaning to text you about how it went. I talked to Mitsula a little bit, but I'm gonna assume that you're not gonna be like, oh, it was fucking garbage.
Oh no. I mean it before even the first episode. And Andrew, I think you'll agree with this. Before even the first performance, I told Matt Donnelly, I said, and by the way, for those of you guys who don't know, Matt Donnelly his strength is a improv comedian, but he's been dared by all the magician gods of Olympus to become a magician. And I said, if there's really only one important skill that magicians have, which is the ability to break their brain in two and follow two totally separate scripts simultaneously, one about what you're saying and one about what you're doing. And the only way to build that skill is to repeat the show a billion times. And given that tonight will be the first night you ever do it, there's a 0% chance you're going to be happy with that, you know. And so a bunch of the notes are just going to be, oh, well, you seem distracted during this or whatever. I said ignore all of those notes and instead just focus on the structural stuff and realize that that the only way that other stuff comes is from repetition a million times, to where you're not thinking about what your body's doing. You're thinking, you know, 2 routines ahead about who's going to be a good person for, you know, this upcoming routine and so on.
It's not unlike, you know, as an actor, like really a really good actor knows your material so much that you're not worried about the role and you just sort of get into that. But I wish, you know, more magicians understood it at that level. Yeah, as you described it. Unfortunately, a lot of them are, hey, I got the move down. Done and done.
Yeah, well, and that was the wild part about watching the performance was, you know, because it takes a while to build up that parallel mentality. He's right now still in serial mode, where, you know, he does a great job delivering the script, and then you can watch his brain say, now it's time for me to think about the moves, and then back, and then and again, that smooths out over time. So everything I saw, there are 2 parts of his show that just were my favorite things in the world, and they were both things that were so on rails that he knew he didn't have any other job to be doing other than to be entertaining and funny during them, and on those, it was just one of my favorite things.
That's the best
Is
part.
he gonna keep doing it?
What's that?
Is he gonna keep doing it?
Dude, he already picked up his first corporate gig. He went and did a corporate gig as Hillbill, the psychic hillbilly. It's I think there's a lot of momentum. I think he wants to polish it off and not just let it be a one-time stunt, and see where it takes him.
Damn,
What a great
well,
premise.
I'm super pumped to talk to him. Do we want to get rolling?
Yeah. Oh, one other thing to put in perspective how awesome Matt and his friends are is before he ever even was involved with Penn and Teller, he found out that at the Magic Castle there are 4 acceptable outfits. You have to have a tie, a bow tie, a bolo tie, an ascot, or a cape. And so the 4 of him and his 3 friends all made sure to show up, each one wearing, one was a bolo tie, one was a tie, one was an ascot, and one wore a cape.
Oh, that's
There's
great.
one other acceptable alternative form.
Oh, is there?
Turtleneck.
Oh, right on. And then there were 5.
And you can do traditional dress. So if, let's say, you were a Highlander or Scottish, you could wear Scottish. You could wear a dashiki. I want to test the limits with my Indian ceremonial outfit that I have.
Oh, that's amazing.
All right. Well, if we're good to go, I'll count you.
All right.
3, 2.
Welcome to the Weird Things podcast. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood,
Hello, you beautiful people.
Justin Robert Young,
Yo!
and our producer is Bryce Neshcom Castillo.
Hi, guys.
Oh boy, gentlemen. My pick for later on, spoiler alert, is going to be A Fire Upon the Deep, the audiobook, the Werner Vinge book, which I love. I read it before, never listened to the audiobook, but it's about AI, and it's like this sort of post-singularity situation where you have super advanced AI, different regions of the universe where light speed travels is different, where AI can do much more complicated things or simple things. And kind of the analogy they give is like humanity is kind of like the creatures at the very, very bottom of the ocean. And then things are higher up above, and then massive things up above us. But anyhow, in the midst of reading this book, I come across a headline which you just kind of you're already, if you're about to go in the ocean and you watch Jaws and you're kind of like,
makes you think twice.
Yeah, there is an announcement. NASA's going to have a press conference involving, and I'll break this down a little bit more so it's not as scary, the search for extraterrestrial life and AI.
Okay.
Now again, our fear, for new listeners or people who aren't quite cogent, our fear, I would say my biggest fear, it's not so much running into aliens, it's running into rogue AIs that wiped out all the other life, on another planet, and now discovers us, Skynet, alien Skynet. So, but that's not quite what it is, as far as we know.
Okay, well, from the version of the headline that we're seeing on The Independent, it looks as though it's our AI that made a planet hunting breakthrough based on the data from the Kepler telescope, I'm assuming?
So what this is actually what we believe it to be is that they've used, Google has a really great AI algorithms for the capability of sorting through image recognition, pattern searching, etc. They partnered with NASA, and they've had this very interesting relationship between Google's actually leased airfield space from NASA and has been doing some other kinds of experiments with them, that they've been using machine learning, etc., to look through all of this data from Kepler to find, so it's not, we did not find an alien AI, which just, again, my knee-jerk reaction to the headline is, all right, it's done. We're Grey Goo. Goodbye, everybody. But instead, what we think may be is they think they've made again, NASA announcements about breakthroughs they're about 10% as exciting as they often.
Yeah, and let's say we believe at any moment they will give a press conference that utterly surpasses our expectations. However, we are big fans of these kinds of announcements, and we have heard some sensational hints beforehand. And I would say almost entirely NASA's announcements have while always having been significant and important, the early buzz tends to be a little bit 10% to 30% higher than what we are delivered.
And their two most hyped ones in the last couple of decades turned out to be not true.
Possibly 10% to 100%, not as good as promised.
Because it was the arsenic based life forms and the, what was it, the thing on the comet or whatever?
The microbial meteor that they found, the Martian meteor on Earth that they found evidence of what could be microbial life.
They did a fine job of pointing out that a rocket-shaped looking comet passing through our solar system was of extraterrestrial or extrasolar origin.
Well, there's a lot of space agencies involved in that, but yeah.
Okay, look, I'm trying to.
They've done amazing stuff, and there's departments there. They're landing robots on Mars. You look at the Dawn spacecraft. This is the thing that we've sent to go orbit Ceres, to go intercept all this thing. This thing is the size of a moving van. It is a spaceship. It is not a small thing. It's a huge thing. It's got ion engines. It is patrolling through the solar. They've got incredible achievements. By all means, there is just amazing stuff. When it comes to the extraterrestrial life, the hunt or the search for that, sometimes there's been this, hey, and then you're like, well, it's not, it's cool. But this is, again, and a lot of it, science is incremental. We went from, in our lives, we remember like, maybe there are planets out beyond our solar system. Maybe it's special. To now it's like, no, that's stupid. There are thousands that we've observed, and now we're getting to the point where we're able to look at the atmospheres and other materials on there, and we're high level that at some point people thought we'd never be able to do. So I'm excited. I mean, we're all big NASA fans. You hear us talk a lot about SpaceX, things like this, but we're fans of people doing awesome stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so where are we headed here?
I think what we're getting is, I guess the prediction is that we're going to get, probably the announcement is that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what we're going to get other than what would be exciting would be that looking through that data is, what will get us excited is an Earth-like planet, like Earth orbit, Earth similarity, whatever. And we've heard this Earth-like, and it's twice the mass of Earth, and it's like 3 inches away from its sun. It's just like Earth.
Can I offer a counterexample of something?
No, Brian,
that would
it's
make
not that
me
kind of show.
Very excited. It would be, even if they didn't have any new particular planet that they were excited about, if they told us that, like, something as simple as for the first 3 years of Kepler, we were able to check out 100 stars per year, and we found 17 planets. I'm making all these numbers up; they're all wrong. But now,
factually down.
We now, thanks to a partnership with Google and their artificially intelligent machine learning, we are now processing 7,000 planets per or stars per year, and have better tracking than ever before. Like, that kind of core technology focused announcement would have me no way. That would have me so stoked. That would be the
same.
To
sleep here.
No, that's like Tim Cook talking about how many gigaverses are in the new iPhone and so on.
Under Steve Jobs, we'd be on other planets by now.
Okay, man. I mean, you're not wrong, but
I think that's great. Yes, 100%. Yes, absolutely. I think that every time our tools get better, exciting things happen slowly, and there's a lot of this. Maybe we're seeing this, maybe we're that. We already have the abundance of water throughout our solar system is amazing. That had been the big, alien invasions are here for our water. Guess what? Go to Europa. Twice as much water as we have and a lot lower delta V.
Yeah.
Selling out Europa.
Yeah. Snitching on Europa. Swing away.
Funny thing, and side note, I was at I'm involved with a project involving scuba diving, and I went to go do a refresher course because I'm an idiot and I forget things. Apparently you need oxygen. You need tanks down there. Apparently. It's not just cool that you have the suit. And I'm sitting there going through kind of one of these classroom sessions, and the instructor's up the front sort of talking, and it's this very, boring looking fluorescent lights, slides showing you this. And I start to sort of daydream, like, man, by the end of the century, I could see a classroom session like this on Europa in a room not unlike this, explaining, like, all right, when you get into your water suits or whatever, here's the life forms you've got to watch out for. If you get eaten by this, you got to do this. And it's sort of the kind of like, the future will be exciting and boring at the same time. It will be this.
It's the boringness that excites me the most. That's one of the things I loved about the Sean Connery movie, Outland, that takes place on an asteroid, mining asteroid, and it's basically it's a frontier story of a murder mystery, and the sheriff's got to.
It's high noon. It's literally high noon in space.
Yeah, and it's great because it's so boring. That was the best parts of Firefly. That's what I love about The Expanse is how the parody of their glamorous parts of the belt, and then there's drudgery mining parts of the belt. I love making space tech boring.
And I liked when in Avatar, when they go to the offices, the corporate offices,
it felt like every corporate office you've ever been in.
Yeah, he's got the golf putter in there. It's this. It's like oil. It's like an oil company kind of thing. And it's like that's what I loved about Cameron's. Cameron is. I think Lucas was the first one in Star Wars to give us that lived-in effect that the space trucker's spaceship's going to feel like the inside of a trucker's sort of truck. That the gleaming Navy is going to have things that are shiny and new. The rebellion, this ragtag rebellion, is going to have things that are clean but dinged up and whatnot. And then when Ridley Scott gave us Alien, he said, oh, well, these are space truckers, and I'm going to make this look like a mining rig, and it's dirty, and valves are popping stuff open. Because he was inspired by Star Wars, and then James Cameron, the same thing. You have that same reaction watching Star Wars going, oh, my God, this feels so real. And it's one of these people forget, like, it's fantasy. It is, but it feels real because of those details. The griminess, things got dirty.
Well, and also nobody's impressed with it. And this is one of the unfortunate betrayals of young George Lucas versus old George Lucas. You can see interviews and documentaries where George Lucas says the biggest mistake science fiction directors make is they invest so much time and energy into their miniatures and their set that they can't help but do long, slow shots to show it off. What you should do is swoop past it in 3 seconds and then blow it up. And of course, 20, 30 years later, he falls victim to the exact same thing with the gee whiz world of digital filming and green screening and so on.
Yeah. I mean, because I think for him, I think he got into this sort of thinking of, oh, well, this is what people want. So I'm going to give you sort of a funny little thing. So we talk about the idea of spaceships looking sooty, or the idea of the used thing, and I'm going to send Bryce a photo here, and this was not planned, but this is actually relates to this because of like that lived-in sort of look. Remember when we spoke to Chris Anderson, the guy or Chris Taylor,
Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor,
who wrote fantastic book, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. I mean, that was just
At Future Boy on Twitter.
What's that?
And at Future Boy is his handle on Twitter. Worth following because he's always throwing some interesting stuff. You could tell he's somebody who loves.
Wait, don't show. Go back. Go erase. Hide.
Okay. You could tell he's somebody who I don't want to say love hates the Star Wars universe, but somebody who has a very realistic eye for it and like us wants it to be a good universe, but is not afraid to call out the parts that have not worked.
So, somebody asked, why were there chains and dripping water in the Nostromo? That's the spaceship from Alien. Because it was a working ship. Why are there leaking roofs? Why does condensers,
Well, and I don't have a problem with any of that because I understand that you are telling a story in a inherently unrelatable world. We cannot relate to what life in the 23rd, 24th century is going to be. Everything will be nonsense to us. So instead, as a filmmaker, you give hooks that conjure feelings that are consistent with the feelings that the characters have in that future scenario.
But some things might be surprisingly familiar because you still have fallbacks and stuff. If you took somebody from, a British ship, in the 1790s, and you put him on board an aircraft carrier, and explaining to him the concept of an aircraft carrier is going to blow his mind. What does it do? Oh, it's for airplanes to take off from. Back up. But then you take him below decks and you show them like, this is how we fasten the aircraft down. And he's like, this is the problem we have with cannons. This is the problem we have with this. He's gonna get a lot of it, really, really, really quickly and go like, oh yeah, I get this. This is the same. This is our galley. Like, this is our galley. It's the same problem. Now the food, he's gonna look at the labels on the food like, wait, what's a microwave do? The gas stove. A lot of simple things like that. But anyhow, I think you would use electric on a ship. But anyhow, I digress. That lived-in look is very, very interesting. And so I brought up the Chris Taylor book because one of the things he talked about, like he says, I found lots of examples of people being inspired by Star Trek, but not by Star Wars, I'm like, dude, you're asking the wrong people. Elon Musk, the Falcon rocket is named for the Millennium Falcon. They called the link grid fins the X-Wing. It's got an X-Wing, it's got a Falcon. And you want any more proof of the inspiration, go to the photo I have now. This is the next mission that's due to launch on the 12th, right? This is both the Dragon rocket, the Dragon space capsule at the top has been used before. It's reused. Now look at the Falcon 9 rocket itself. What do you see? Stop in the middle.
I mean, you see scoring from the heat of re-entry.
Yep, this is the rocket they're going to launch on a NASA mission in just a couple days.
That has to be an intentional decision. Like you talk to PR, talks to the engineers and say, is there any reason we should bother to repaint this?
Mean Elon?
Yes, exactly. PR being Elon. Elon says, do we have to repaint it? And they say no. And then he says, good. because I want everybody to see this lady's been around. That's brilliant.
Yep.
Listen, Elon Musk loves Star Wars so much. He spent the last 2 days trying to make sure everybody understood he was getting or making a Spaceballs reference on Twitter.
With which one?
He said when they sell 50,000 Boring Company hats, he'll do a flamethrower.
Oh.
And then
Yeah.
just in case people didn't get it, he's like, I know it's unorthodox, but kids love it, which is the line that, yogurt hats.
He did a thing earlier, a few days ago, like, this is the best thing about, marketing you can ever learn. It was the clip from Spaceballs. I mean, they have the Tesla, they now in the Roadster too, because like they had, remember,
Ludicrous.
they had plaid mode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They've gone to
Yeah.
plaid, yeah.
Gone to plaid. I think if Mel Brooks wants to do another one, just ask Elon.
Oh, yeah. You can privately finance it. Are you kidding?
But anyhow, I think that's cool. We're actually sending hardware back up that's been worn, that looks like it's been used. And, like you look at a jet and you see some, exhaust burn on it. You're like, okay, cool. This baby's got some experience.
So this is happening when?
The 12th.
And this will be the very first
Tomorrow.
time they've reused tomorrow. Wow. And this will be the very first time anyone has ever reused a first stage of a rocket.
No, we've used first stages before.
No.
We've done
I'm sorry. I said reused.
Oh, reused, like
No, I think that they've launched a first stage that's been used before, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Because
How
they
did
keep bringing them down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then I
Yeah,
guess
no, they've reused it, but this is the first time they're reflying a booster and the Dragon at the top.
Got it.
That's what makes it special. Is both pieces have previously been flown.
Oh.
That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Also, very
So
phallic.
yeah, we've reflown boosters before. That was a big deal because remember they took like 9 months to finally refly one, and then they've had the Dragon. So now the Dragon's like been reusable now. So now the only thing that's not reused is the inner stage, which has one Merlin engine there, which is part of the cost. But the idea that they're reusing the top and the bottom, I mean that's an amazing thing. But too bad it can't be done, guys. Can't be done.
We stopped dreaming. Thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, can't be done. It won't be done.
Oh, man, it's so perfect. That quote is just just so great that it came at that moment in time, like like a year before we're like relaunching rockets, like dramatically bringing down the price of how to get into space, fundamentally reshaping our relationship with the cosmos.
Do you think Neil deGrasse Tyson knew at that moment that he was entering the great pantheon of quotes like "No computer will ever need more than 1K of RAM"?
No. In fact, I'll bet you that if you talk to him, if he were here right now and we were smugly rubbing that quote in his face and he were smugly looking back at us, he would explain why what he said really wasn't what we thought he said, and what he really meant was SpaceX is amazing. And it's great.
Still the world without NASA,
Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
I
I mean, it's been a wonderful partnership, wonderful partnership, and I'm excited about Blue Origin stepping up and providing services and stuff. And, I want to wear some Blue Origin shirts too, I think he did it to get people moving. Yeah, because these plans weren't already in motion and already happening,
I mean, I'll tell you what, Texas sharpshooter fallacy is a pretty good way to run a system. Just say a bunch of stuff, and whenever stuff lands, be like, "Yeah, that's what I intended."
Yeah, there's a mentality that's like, I don't know, that if it doesn't have made by NASA stamp on it or this or that, then people aren't as we've seen that with our friend Richard Garriott, Brian's friend, who has been in space, done everything the spaceman's supposed to do, but is he an astronaut?
Nope, they had to call him a cosmonaut because you're not allowed to be an astronaut unless you're from NASA. That's why they were originally called NASA-astronauts. But they trademarked it and they held it in your face. You know what?
Really? NASA astronaut?
No. I'm making
Okay.
that part up.
Then why would they just do astronaut?
Well, an astronaut would work, but okay. Hey, man, it's hard to write this stuff on the fly.
No, yeah.
But I'm with you, man. It's like a spaceman's a spaceman. I'll call them what they are.
Or woman. I mean, yeah, like NASA's official designation is space flight participant.
You were there. Here's a ribbon. But I mean, I do think that there's. I think the larger thing is that everybody can be better when the best available resources are available to as many people as possible, including NASA and specifically NASA.
Yep. We got a bunch of very rich guys that want to spend a lot of their money doing R&D and take a lot of risk on themselves to move the thing forward. So what better way to tax the rich than stuff like that?
And actually, that's no lie. That's how the Tesla Model 3 came to pass. Is that essentially Elon Musk? And I don't want to make this just about Elon Musk, but basically, the ultra rich paid a subsidy tax. They overpaid for all of their roadsters for the for the notoriety of having one, and in doing so funded a publicly available, incredible, awesome, allegedly awesome battery powered car.
Yep.
Speaking of which, quick side jag, and this may not go anywhere because I didn't read much of it, but is there a car that's running on capacitors instead of batteries? Is that what I heard? Is that somebody's working on one that has supercapacitors?
There's, I don't know to the specifics of that. There may be a demonstration thing that uses some form of supercapacitor, but I'm not aware of supercapacitors being produced in volume in any place.
I just remembered where I got this idea. It was from I was in a cab in New York, and it was a Jeopardy question. So-and-so company is planning to make these cars more next level by not using batteries and instead using this. And the answer was supercapacitors.
Yeah, I mean, it proposed, sure. There's like, was Faraday or one of the other Lucid or somebody like that. I know they had said, oh yeah, we're going to do supercapacitor tech. They came out with this announcement. People were like, okay, if you guys think you can make that scale, that's great. But there's a little credibility problem there.
Bryce looks like he found maybe the type of article that was being referenced.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a date on this. This is from IFL Science.
It might be an old idea that just recently, these things like.
So the headline is graphene-based supercapacitors could lead to battery-free electric cars within 5 years.
Yeah, maybe.
And I guess for listeners, tell me if I got this right, and I'm sure none of us actually know. But as I understand it, batteries essentially generate electricity by having an anode and a diode. Cathode, anode and cathode, right? Whereas a capacitor is just straight up a bucket full of electricity that can discharge very, very quickly all at once.
Yeah, like there's a chemical process in a battery. There's a chemical process that you change the state of something, and in the presence of pulling on it, it changes the state and it becomes another thing. And a lithium ion, there's thousands of different chemistries. When you're like, oh, we need to advance, past lithium, it's like, that's kind of like saying we need to advance past copper in a sense. It's like there's a lot of different chemistries that go in there. That's lithium ion is just basically one of the metals involved. It's a lot. You can have a lot of different chemistries there, and you can we've been improving efficiencies on there for the last 25 years. But yeah, where a supercapacitor is, imagine an electric plate separated, and one's got a bunch of electrons that are really excited. They're ready to jump that gap. And it's just that. It's just the material there's not a chemical change there. It's just that there's an insulator there between them, and then you just being able to figure out how tightly can you pack those materials without them rupturing and just, hey, we're free and jumping. So could be cool. Yeah, I think supercapacitors are, that will be when you move past having to have that chemical process that you reset every time you recharge and do it. Mm-hmm. It'll be great. How far are we away? We don't know, but yeah, pretty cool. Speaking of high tech, really, really high tech, imagine it's a few thousand years ago. We got two tribes. We got the Bryox and the Justinons. They're at war with each other.
Go on.
Right? Constantly at war with each other, battling back and forth, and they go to war, and they got their first. They were using wooden clubs, and the wooden clubs split apart on each other's heads, whatever. And the Bryonons, one of them was digging around in the ground and found some rock and found some sort of this goldish hue sort of metal, heated in the rock, and all of a sudden, he had some copper and tin, and realized that they started mixing this thing up. They could make some bronze, made some metal, maybe some swords out of this bronze.
I remember this moment because the leader of the Bryox said, we done it, boys. We got us the shiniest metals that make the finest weapons. None shall defeat us.
So you got this, you start building, you build some spear tips first. You got a little bit of that, which is great.
I propose we begin with spear tips and then grow from there. Perhaps arrowheads. Who knows?
I'm just glad that I got the mixture of bronze mainly, right? So now you got your bronze, you're making your spear tips and you're making your swords, and Justin, they come up to you with they're like, hey, I've got my new wooden sword. That's great. I got my new wooden club, right?
Yeah.
And then the Bryox are like, oh, that's delightful. Slashing the clubs in half, left and right, slicing the Justinons in half, just dicing them up left and right. All right.
Nothing personal. It's just we're playing Sid Meier's Civilization, and it's time for your city to become ours.
Well, some Justinons flee. They're like, man, this sucks. They've got this metal that's this material, like it's metal, man. Yeah, we've always had this word metal, and we didn't have a way to describe it. Yeah. Now we know that was metal. Like, only if there was a better metal. And somebody's like, well,
hey, we're hearing you over there. Ain't no better metal than the copper. We're smelting them together sometimes. I don't know.
Just everybody whisper. Let him talk himself out.
Yeah, and they're like, what if somebody's like, what if we could, somebody's like theoretical. They're sitting around the campfire. Somebody's like, what if we could take, what if we could smelt get a really, really high temperature, get this really stuffed, tougher metal we find in the rocks, this thing we call iron, but just it's too damn hot for us. What if we had a really high temperature smelting furnace to be able to get that out and we could start working the iron? And they're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's stupid.
But then walking along and like, where are we going to retreat to? Like, oh, let's go to, that deep pit, the crater. And they go to the crater and they find a big rock there in the middle of this. And it's shiny. Like, hey, could this be a good material? We can get this out. We can extract this. And the next thing you know, they're mining meteors for iron.
Whoa.
What?
Okay, because you found a meteor site, found a big chunk of iron meteor, and you're able to take that out and work that into tools. Now, Bryox are like, hey, look at us. We've got our amazing weapons. Nothing's better than us. And you come over the hill with you're like, it's like bronze, but it's dull. It's dull. It's not gleaming like ours. And then they hack your swords into pieces.
I'm beginning to think that
how does that feel? Huh? You're running around with your swords, and your swords are great. You're slaughtering us. Hey, guess what? I'm playing Civilization, and now it's time for you to be dead.
But our emails.
So the long-winded explanation is that there's growing evidence now that they think some early use of iron actually did come from meteors. There's been the theory that meteor metal may have been used for certain tools and stuff, because there's periods of time where we think they had iron implements, but they didn't appear to have the technology to smelt or extract iron from rock unless they had a really, really high, material that had a high ratio of iron to everything else. And so they've done some analysis on some weapons and stuff like this, and now they're starting to think that there is more examples of iron being taken from meteors.
So, and that's just an availability bias. This is before they had mining technology that was deep enough or a good enough geological understanding. Whereas, meanwhile, the most available iron was just in these funny shaped rocks that were sporadically laid out over the planet.
Yeah, and being able to smelt it out, that's the hard part too, is that you have to be able to work with the iron. You have to get really, really high temperatures, comparatively so. And if you're working from, Bronze Age sort of level stuff, bronze is nice because it works at a lower temperature. But when you want to start working with iron and steel, things have to get hotter and hotter, and you have to be able to build furnaces. If you look like, steel furnaces and stuff, that's extremely, extremely hot.
Steel is a more resilient. So you got help me with my metallurgy. Steel is an alloy of iron and usually nickel. It withstands higher temperatures.
Carbon.
And
carbon. You get different chemistries. It's primarily iron, carbon, and then you might have other alloys or materials that go inside of there. So it's an alloy, which means it's a couple of these things together, and then you have other stuff that might go in there.
So it's basically a cocktail. And that allows it to be stronger and withstand higher heat. So in a steel bowl, you could melt a bucket of iron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're seeing here the description on Wikipedia explains you're talking 0.02% and 1.7% carbon by weight, and then with wrought iron has almost no carbon, etc. So.
Wow.
So
wrought
anyhow,
iron, cast iron.
they can use other materials too besides carbon.
Okay.
It also cannot be melted by jet fuel.
That's just a random true fact. True facts.
Just slipping that one in.
And actually, if you look at the availability of it, it clearly comes from a flat Earth.
Yeah.
That's why they call it flat iron, right?
Flat Earth. Yep. So anyhow, but it's just some scientists have been looking at some early Stone Age tools and they found evidence of that, which is kind of cool because then you think about some of the legends of stuff about heroes getting weapons from the gods.
Literally from the gods.
Yeah. And so that this could be from above fell the material to vanquish your enemies.
The Justinians are sitting on a hillside, recovering from their wounds and upset. We need something. And they see a spark. They see a shooting star overhead, and they feel something hit the ground. What was that? Let's go look. And they find this material, and they build weapons. And then they go attack the Bryonons. And then finally the Bryonons what? How did you do this? What's your explanation? Where did you get this material from?
Justin,
the tears of the ever loving sky bear that saw our plight and did weep our victory.
I'll tell you what, it makes this brief moment makes me think of religion as a military technology, because I have to imagine that of two tribes, the one that believes that God sent down sword seeds to give you the blessing that you're clearly meant to win this war would cause that tribe to maybe, attack a little more forcefully with a little more gusto, knowing that their God had definitely bestowed them the gift of preordained victory.
Sure. And if you were an alien species that wanted to influence one group over another.
Exactly.
This would be a great video game. You could just drop. You basically, your whole job is to watch from above and just sort of give loot boxes from the sky.
I'm trying to think of playing a video game. Don't they do that in Populous or something like that?
Yeah, Black and White. Black and White was very similar to that. That's the one where you played a god and you would have a big avatar monster. God, I still remember. I remember some of the goofy songs that the villagers sang in that thing.
Like what? Like what? What we want to
idle, we simply can't leave until we get more wood. And so that was their subtle clue. So you would take wood and then you would allow them to build ships and so on.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you
Well,
what.
speaking of gifts from the gods,
Exactly. Folks, gods are great and sometimes fickle. And incidentally, patreon.com/Night Attack is the way
Slash
that you
weird
can
things.
support
Slash
this
weird things.
show. Head on over there to patreon.com/Night Attack.
Or weird things. Maybe even the show we're on. We could do either of those. Just
yeah.
Patreon.com/Weird Things is where you can support this show. Patreon.com/Weird Things, folks. Make sure that you keep this show going. Patreon.com/Weird Things. That's
Brian,
the most
remember we were talking about
controversial
how as a
part
performer, you
of
do
that
something
read.
so many times, your brain can go to other places.
Sure, man. No, it's like there's chunks of your brain that are just running a subroutine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I do it all the time on the one mic shows because I have two different emails for the one mic shows, and so I'm doing it's like at the same end of the same like thing. The Google Docs look identical because I made them and copied one off the other one, and it's just no, it's the Young American and not Justin Robert Young.
Well, for me, because it's like Daddy has another family. And because Night Attack's you and Brian, but when you're here, you're like, like your sister Stephanie. I'm like,
That's not my sister.
that's your other wife's kids, Dad. I'm just me.
Whoops.
It's all right. I'm sure I'm just as important as your new children.
You are. Hey, you're always gonna be important.
Yeah.
Always.
You know what else is important?
What?
The next installment of
Journey Quest!
Previously on
Johnny Quest!
We've got a seamstress chained up front. We can take care of everything you need, whatever you want. Just let me know.
Great.
Right? There's a town, maybe half a mile up the road. They've got gas.
I want to let each and every one of you know that you're idiots for believing in them, and we're going to make you look like idiots for ever thinking that they had a chance.
Man, what was their names? Dumbo and Gumbo?
Congo and Mongo?
No,
or-
they're Dumbo and Gumbo in our hearts. Ain't that right, Justin? Fist bump.
Yeah.
Fist bump. Not that one. That's my chainsaw fist.
copper
Actually, I
fist
take off
with
my
the middle
chainsaw
finger
fist
extended.
and I hold up my nub and I'm like, nub to fist.
Yeah, and then we start singing nub, nub, nub.
Gonna
You're
get
win
some
some
nubs.
Hey, listen. These guys are and so I think if I remember correctly, our dilemma now is that we can get everything we need supply wise if we throw the fight. However, we'll then have to spend another several months
Working our way back up
in
the
Mexico,
wrestling ladder.
rebuilding our already false started careers as professional fighters, or we can beat them, risk a town riot, get the money but maybe not the supplies, and then we found out that they are actually gigantic and have bigger, better mechs than I do.
Yeah. So we haven't seen them yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. We heard. Sorry. We saw a hulking and imposing clues, I guess.
Yeah. There's like a big, it's like their dressing room is inside of some big industrial warehouse. We heard noises, things being thrown around, mechanical sounds, things like that. We've heard, the sounds of things, about to move, and the doors are starting to roll open.
All right. Well, hey, Brian, I think we're on the same page. We are going to beat these people within an inch of their lives and take the money and run.
Yeah, man. That's never gone wrong for us. We're pretty much paragons of combat, especially what with me being maimed and having a chainsaw for a hand, or alternatively in my inventory a claw that gives the middle finger, and you having an 80% charged up set of battle armor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, keep in mind that, these are the town heroes. These are the town heroes.
Yeah.
Now,
I make sure to turn around to the
honestly,
audience.
Brian, how tough could they be? If they were real heroes, they would be out on the road like we are. Like we literally didn't even we fought each other for 5 seconds and immediately got signed as a touring act. If these guys were any good, they'd be out there.
I mean, if
killing.
they were any good, they'd be out there digging wells and feeding the homeless. But what are they doing? I say loudly so the audience can hear. They're wrestling. Oh, what a great contribution to society. Seems to me like the best thing your town can deal with is us crushing them so they actually do something productive for this crap hole. That's right, your town's a crap hole. We're from out of town. We're foreign. Look at my passport. It's different than yours.
Yeah.
Brian stops for a moment as a bottle crashes on his head.
And I was like, that's savages. You're all savages.
Yeah.
And somebody
I'll tell you
runs
what,
up to him and picks up the glass because of the deposit.
Brian's head is as hard as a rock. I bet you nobody can break a bottle on Brian's head. It's impossible.
I immediately hide between the legs of Mech Justin and shield my head.
Yeah, so Justin's partially powered up. Now, have you decided, are you going to win this or throw this?
Well, I mean, I feel like we should try to win it, right?
Win it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you talking out of the side of your mouth. What was?
I said win it. Yeah, we should try to win it.
No, we're winning it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right. So the dramatic unroll of the garage door. Somebody, bam, bam, bam. It's broken. It keeps raising. Now you get fog.
I roll my fist with my stub with the chainsaw forward as if to say, "Speed it up, Jack."
I start rolling the dice.
Now, laser through the fog, old school, like 80s style, like laser tunnel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I roll my eyes auspiciously and gesture saying, "These guys, am I right?"
I now start rolling the dice with both hands.
Now you hear you see there's a band off to the left, electric guitars, everything playing. Unironically, Final Countdown.
I roll my eyes so hard that one of them falls out, and I stumble over to pick it up, dust off the dirt, toss it in my mouth, clean it off, and then put it back in my eyeball.
I unironically ask Brian, "Do you think that's really Europe?"
Half of them. They had a merger with Asia. It's really kind of the drummer from Berlin.
And, weirdly, they're covering Toto's Africa. That's the weirdest part.
Yeah. They did a concert the other night with Kansas. And it was, it's interesting. So they're playing their hearts out. It's like kind of like the only song I really know. And the audience is cheering, Congo, Mongo, Congo, Mongo, right? And then all of a sudden, two shadows step in front of the laser light and the fog, right? It just like an eclipse, like a total eclipse
of the heart.
Like I saw. Did you see the total, Brian, or did you see the partial?
Yeah, no, I saw. Sir, we had this discussion, and you know that I saw it while on the side of a lake, swimming and playing with the kids.
So it's a total, right?
Yeah.
Right. The total eclipse.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. There's another one in 5 years. He's going to come to Austin.
Another one in 5 years. I know. I didn't ask anybody else.
Assuming he's still alive. I mean, but at least you and I can be struck by lightning right now.
So, Brian, you have kind of a little bit of a religious experience when you see this kind of eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
You remember the moment. You remember the lake. Like,
yeah.
Which technically happened after Journey Quest started, but we won't. Don't write us in with timeline inconsistencies and stuff. It's an alternate universe, okay?
Sure.
So now you're like, oh man, you nudge Justin. Remember the eclipse? Oh, sorry. Anyhow.
Oh my God! Now I start doing Brian's moving on.
They step forward. step forward. Congo and Mongo step forward. Crowd is just cheering. It's just like it's ecstatic. You can't even imagine this. And then you notice you're like you kind of do this little double take like at each other. Like, were you seeing a thing I'm seeing? Kind of thing.
Hey, Justin, are you seeing the thing that I'm seeing? Because I'm seeing
don't
some
know.
stuff that I don't know how I feel about.
They're walking down a
Are you
ramp.
seeing what I'm seeing?
I mean, I'm seeing two guys, Gumbo and Dumbo. I don't know.
They're walking down a ramp, and as they get lower towards the ramp, towards the edge of the arena. I mean, it's like a junkyard arena. It's put together in a small little Mexican town, and they start getting closer towards the bottom of the ramp. You realize like these guys are kind of on the short side.
I lean over to Justin and I say, did you ever watch the director's commentary to Ridley Scott's Alien?
No, Brian, I didn't.
Okay, well, then I watched it before everything went sideways in our universe. And in it, they built a set for the Nostromo, and they realized it wasn't big enough. So they actually, for the scene where the astronauts get out of the plane, they actually got children, and they dressed them up in spacesuits so that the ship would look bigger. I think what I'm trying to say is, I think these are
You
children.
should watch Alien.
No,
I'm
I
sorry,
think-
I
I
talked
think-
over you. What were you thinking?
I'm trying to say I think these are
Sigourney
children.
Weaver's a treasure. Wait,
I
all
think-
right, wait.
I think Congo and
We're
Mongo
not
are.
talking about the same thing
I think Congo and Mongo are children.
of men.
No, like literal children. Like
Bryce
actual...
actually has a photo of Congo. I
Oh,
think.
okay, all right. Here. Squint your eyes. It's hard to see past that light, but take a look, Justin. Take a look right at Mongo or Congo, whichever one we're looking
He will have a photo of this in a moment.
at. Justin,
Gotcha.
that definitely looks like an adorable 12-year-old boy in a luchador costume.
Well, no, I mean that the grand tradition of the minis, the luchador minis. I don't know. There may or may not be a child in there, but they're definitely tiny, and I definitely think that we can beat the hell out of them.
Okay, but realize there's a success path that we could sell this fight. I mean, maybe we throw this fight to them, and then we get the fuel, and we get to go. Yeah, we'll have to work our way up back the rankings, but
So what do you like? You like it like on the rocks or salt or no? Do you like it frozen?
Wait, what? Like what?
The margaritas that I'm assuming the only reason why you would be forcing us to do another 2 months in Mexico, you're surely salivating over. Because there's no other reason for us to not punch these kids right in the face.
Okay, all right. Hey, let's take a look at the other one. We've seen Congo. What does Mongo look like?
Oh yeah, we gotta boot up the machine that has the photos here.
Okay, and by the way, I'm trying to buy us time, so I gesture and gesticulate as if you're like, oh, these guys, and I say, oh, if you're so brave, why don't you just cross this line? And I use my chainsaw arm to sort of drive it through the dirt on the ground, Alamo style, like, hey, you want to fight? You want us to give us your all and crush you? Then you just cross this line. Congo looks a little bit bigger dressed as a chicken.
Yeah. All right. So is it too late for us to get action on the under time wise? Like, because we're definitely going to be able to punch this clock pretty quick.
More importantly, I'm still gesturing at my line. I'm just like, oh, you want us to bring the pain? You just cross that line. But understand that line is a contractually binding obligation that obligates me to possibly kill you. Possibly kill you. This is a real thing. I might kill you.
Also, I would like to volunteer. I will cross the line from our side to kill you.
Okay, well, that's an independent offer from a third party. I'm mainly just offering to kill you if you cross this line.
Sure, but also, we've discussed it. We're on the same page. We'll also cross over the line and kill you just because we want to.
Now they're warming up against the ring ropes, and the guy with the chicken costume takes off the chicken costume, and now we see what this guy looks like.
All right, let's take a look at him. Oh, Justin, he's really tiny. He's really tiny.
He looks like Jeff Bezos, though.
Yeah, he looks like what I'd imagine.
Maybe the Jeff Bezos experiment.
He looks like what I would imagine the mighty Adam looked like, who was renowned for being tiny but strong. I gesture to Justin. Let's feet only. Can we start with feet only? That way we'll just kind of keep kicking him down.
Wait, all right, can we get another reminder real quick on the rules here? Is this to the death? Like, do we have to pin them? Like, what are the rules here?
Kind of the crowd will sort of decide. It's whatever will keep them from rioting.
Okay.
So we just have to make sure that the crowd knows that we have asserted our dominance.
Okay. All right. Look, we're going all in. So I say, Justin, adopt the Ascendant Sorcerer. And I hope Justin understand that means that he kneels down on one leg and holds up his right arm to the sky. At which point I start running
Congo
forward.
is climbing to the top of the ropes.
Okay, and I start running forward, running up Justin's back leg, up the small of his back, on his shoulders, and then finally leaping off the open palm of his mech as I hold aloft my chainsaw nubbed arm and aim it just as if Logan style. I'm just gonna run the chainsaw straight through one of their hearts.
All right, so you're at Congo, who's he's climbed the ropes. He's actually on the chain link fence, and he's like, you're right at his heart.
Yeah.
Okay. You come straight at him, chainsaw blurring, and Brian, it's like a really cool comic book panel, Frank Miller-esque, even though we're talking about, a Wolverine run, but, really, really cool. Just this hard edges, sharp lines and stuff coming at him. It's glorious, Brian. It's glorious. Congo looks frightened, and then he laughs, and last moment, jumps out of the way. Your chainsaw cuts through part of the chain link fence, but now your arm is stuck and you're dangling. 15 feet off the ground.
I struggle, and then my eyes scan around.
And part of it cuts into your arm, and blood's trickling down.
I struggle, and I scan all around looking for the camera. So
as you're being rabbit punched in the nuts.
I turn to wherever the camera is and say,
hose.
Ever have one of those days?
Is that you get punched repeatedly in the...
Justin, I'm being punched repeatedly. You gotta help.
Mongo's running circles around Justin right now, literally running circles, and now he's bouncing back and forth off of the ropes, back and forth, building up momentum.
I try to kick him right in his little head.
You kick him, actually, you graze him. He's not expecting it. It happens faster than he realizes him, so he's wobbling around, and like he's actually directly underneath you.
I step on him. A fatal blow.
He rolls out of the way at the last moment, and you forgot now that Congo, having trapped Brian, is free, and you feel somebody jump onto the back of your neck and to start grab at valves and stuff.
Meanwhile, while this is happening, have I assessed what my best course of action is? I'm not impaled. I'm just sort of stuck, right? Is it possible I could...
You're a little stuck.
I begin to use my chainsaw to try to hack away at the pieces that are trapping me so that I can get out.
Okay. Vroom, vroom. You're starting to cut yourself free, and the fence is starting to lean in as you're starting to, get more slack like that. Meanwhile, Congo is pulled out what may be an illegal, we don't know. I mean, if you're allowed a chainsaw, he's pulled out a socket set and is trying to unfasten some of Justin's electronics.
I grab Congo and I throw him as far as I can.
He's out of your reach. You don't quite have that mobility there.
I jump flat on my back.
Oh, good. You all fall flat on your back. You hear this sound. Now Mongo, who's rolled out of the way, frightened, terrified of what he sees, jumps on top of your chest, and starts to kick your unprotected face.
Am I free from the chain link fence yet?
Brian, you just fell to the ground free.
Okay, great. I immediately rev the engine as loud as I can, and I say, "Welcome to the chain gang," and I lunge forward at him.
Okay. Congo
I asked Brian,
says,
did you just say welcome to the gangbang?
No, I pause mid attack and say, "No, I chain gang. I have a chainsaw." And am I the only one even
chain
writing?
gang?
Yeah.
I thought this was like our new catchphrase.
No, I mean, look, we can workshop that in the future, but for right now, you've got a guy attacking your chest. Can I just slaughter him, please?
Okay, yeah, go. Yeah,
Okay,
kill him.
I
kill
say-
him.
I
My
say,
bad. Bad note.
I say, "Nice to saw you," and then I run forward with the chainsaw at him.
he does a backflip, lands on the ropes, looks down, and says in a very, very menacing British accent, "You killed my brother."
I was like, "You're damn right, and there's only one way to bring you the peace you deserve." And then I take a moment to awkwardly put the chainsaw in my backpack and remove the fist that can only make the middle finger gesture. And I was like, "And that's
Your pleasure fist. The pleasure fist.
the
got it.
pleasure fist." I say, "And that's to kill you too. Prepare for the black sleep of death." And then I jump forward, making a fist with the pleasure fist. And I'm like, "But this won't be pleasurable."
Now remember, he's more agile than you, so he jumps out of the way, and now your fist is stuck in the fence. And he drops to the ground and starts punching you in the testicles.
Okay, I just disconnect the fist and drop. I leave it up there in the.
Okay, good move. Good
okay,
move.
and then I reattach the chainsaw fist.
Am I back on my feet?
Are you?
Well, I was on my back when Brian chased him.
I know. Are you trying to get back on your feet?
Yeah.
You're back on your feet. You turn over and you look behind you, and you just see the sunken cavity of what you did to Mongo. You know.
Okay. I pick up the corpse of Mongo and I pretend like, "Whoa, look at me! I'm Mongo! I love doing flips! Oh, look at my socket wrench!"
I waste an entire turn of action to stand there horrified at what Justin is doing. I forfeit an entire move.
Congo rolls underneath the ropes and the chains, runs away.
What is the crowd's reaction to my grotesque act of barbarism?
They're watching where Congo's going because they hear all of a sudden he goes into the warehouse, and the crowd is horrified at what you've done, but now they're just in stunned silence. And now Congo runs into the fog. There's loud metal moving, sounds of things coming there. And then the sound of small feet running back towards the ring.
Okay, while all that is happening, I'm continuing to do what I was doing before, but I've changed one octave higher for maximum mockery. All
right, to get the best view, I immediately run and climb up the back, hop on the shoulders of Mecha Jury, and hold kind of like a gangster would hold a sidearm sideways. That's what I'm doing with my chainsaw as I'm scanning the area around, waiting for some kind of impending swarm attack.
You want to see me do a back handspring?
Congo comes running back to the edge of the ring. Remember, you're inside of a cage now that's been locked shut, but he was able to roll out. He's holding a flamethrower. Send some flames into the sky. The audience is cheering.
Okay, I realize, Justin, we got to get the crowd on our side, and there's only one move I know to do in this situation. We got a flamethrower pointed right at our face, so I stand on your shoulders, and I turn to the audience, and I say, "The concept of resistance to fire is one as old as history itself."
And I say, "Brian, like, you created the perfect diversion, because I'm gonna execute the brother shot put," and I throw the corpse of Mongo at Congo as hard as I can.
But remember, you're still in the cage, and he's standing outside the cage. So it's just.
I thought he was back. Sorry.
No, he's standing outside the cage, about to use the flamethrower on you on the inside.
Do it anyway.
I hold out his brother. I'm like, you're having to burn your own brother, you freak. You freak. You're gonna kill your own brother with a flame fire.
He's hesitating, and then he just gets filled with.
Mi hermano.
Okay. I look to my chainsaw and I open up the fuel canister part and I gauge how much gasoline is in my chainsaw.
You got about a quart, which is amazing because you've never bothered to refill it until now.
Okay. I hold it up to my mouth and I empty a good mouthful of gas in there and then replace the cap.
The crowd is very curious and confused by this. They're all kind of doing this, leaning on their hand, kind of like.
I look down to Justin and I raise my eyebrows significantly as if to ask, you want in on this, bro?
I do, knowing that not like this has never gone poorly for me before.
Okay, so I twist open the cap and I pour more of the gasoline into Justin's mouth. So we each have a mouthful of gasoline, and then I point forward as if to say, let's charge at the guy who has a flamethrower at us.
Now you hear somebody in the crowd go, "Have they no shame? What is next? Using the blood of the corpse to protect themselves?"
I gather Brian under my arm, and with my mecha arms, I lift the corpse and wring it out like a dish towel.
I dance as if it's a beautiful shower and flap my arms like a gazelle.
Then I make a solid eye contact. Wait, no, Brian. What's our next move? Just pause so I can. I have one parting line.
I think our next move is to like try to time the moment he fires the flamethrower. We dodge to the side, but then we blow our fuel at Dumbo or Gumbo.
All right, yeah. So that's our plan. We're waiting for him to shoot the flamethrower.
But
he aims the flamethrower at you, and he goes, "Adios, muchachos."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, hold on a second. Adjust it. Does it? Adios, muchachos." And he clicks it, and the flame goes about a foot in front of there. He's like, I realize there's a dial.
I preemptively blast him with my mouth full of gas so that he's covered and his hands are covered in the hopes that when he pulls the trigger, he'll burst into flames.
So as you spray your gas at him, actually, the flame is on the edge of the flamethrower. It does ignite, and a big fireball engulfs Congo.
Oh!
I spit my gasoline on him, his already flame engulfed body. And as I spike his brother's wrung out corpse on the ground, I outstretch my mech arms and turn to the audience and scream, "Welcome to the gangbang!"
Congo is screaming. He's on fire. Like, "Ay!" Starts spinning in circles, right? Runs into the audience. Which, unfortunately, they were having tequila specials, and it got a little messy. Audience catches on fire, right? Like, "Oh, hey!" They start scattering. There's another audience on the other side. People run in there. They catch on fire.
I say, I start running around what I assume is the octagon of chain link fence.
The only safe place right now. People start flooding in around, looking for running back and forth because you're safe inside of the fence. Just the smell's the only thing getting to you.
Okay. I start building a sandcastle. Just to pass the time.
I scan around and start looking for our agent, and I just start like making tapping my wrists like.
He's over by the hot dog cart and the churro cart and the tamale cart, just eating. He's like, watching this.
I'm just making eye contact. That I'm just trying to say, like, should we leave? Like, when should we just get out of here?
I would wait for the burning people to stop running around.
All right, so
I lean over to somebody that looks as if that they are staff here. Maybe I grab one while they're out trying to rescue.
Trying to put people out of, off take.
Yeah.
take
I
the
pull him out
flames
and say,
away,
"Hey, I don't want to be a bother here. Is there a green room or somewhere like that we can go just away from the fire?"
You monster. You monster.
Well,
It's the
yes.
trailer over there.
I point out like, yeah, no, that's our bit. Look, the monsters will be in our trailer once everybody's put out. Just if you can make the checkout to cash, that'd be
The
great.
agent is like, ooh, the monsters of El Paso. Oh, I like this.
That's great. I also retired to the green room, and I rifle through the DVD library looking to see if they have the
There are
Venture
people
Brothers.
still running around outside on fire, screaming.
No,
back
that's
and
great.
forth. It's terror.
Specifically, I find Venture Brothers season 2, and I pop it on there, and I wrinkle my nose in disgust that they only have an old standard definition CRT screen instead
Now,
of
mind you, there's actually 3 small children sitting there on the leather couch, and they all sort of look small, and they remind you of what Congo looked like. Reading books, playing iPads, and they go, "Oh, are you Papa's friends?" He never lets us watch the match, and he makes us speak this way, even though he has a British accent.
Actually, I'm pretty sure your dad was asking for. What was your name?
Oh, my name. I was named for my father's favorite YouTube personality. I am Tom Merritt.
All right, listen, little Tom Merritt.
Yeah, I think your dad was looking for you. He's like, Tom, where's Tom? So you better go out there.
My brother, Jury, he said Daddy was so excited that he get to meet his heroes tonight. Right, Bri? Bri looks down from his iPad where he's playing Hearthstone, even though there's not a real internet connection to get updates. It's amazing. Oh, are you Daddy's friends? Daddy said he's going to play with you.
I said, you know what, kids? We're better than Daddy's friends. We are your new daddies. What?
Yeah, I looked to Brian and I'm like, I don't know.
I was like, nope, we're going to take care of these kids. We're going to, what was it that your dad promised to do for you?
College education.
You know what?
Trips to Disney World.
We got something.
Okay, so let's also understand apocalyptic world. Just go ahead and leave. I mean, we got your address. We can wire you some money. It's gonna be fine.
Okay. I was like, Justin,
Why are you covered in blood, by the way?
I feel like the better thing for us to do is to actually take them on the road with us and give them a real education on the road of the school of hard knocks. But if you want to bail, I figure we can, just give them the prize purse that we won in this match.
Manager's here. Hey guys, listen. Good news. We've got our gas. We can head on to Las Vegas. It's good. I think this is good.
Great.
I think like the mortality rate is like 97%. So there's not a lot of people left in the town, but I got them to pay out anyways.
Great. So we got room on the tour bus for 3 little ones, right?
What's your kink, man?
No kink. I just want to get them to. I mean, we can't leave them here. The town's all destroyed. What kind of future will they have?
Brian, you're absolutely right, and I think that we should privately discuss how we're going to take care of these kids on the tour bus by ourselves.
No.
I think there's only one place where we can let's just clear our minds, figure out this whole thing on the tour bus by ourselves. You kids understand that, right? The adults gotta hash some stuff out.
The agent looks at the kids. He's like, I don't know if tour bus is really the place for these kids.
I'm not.
No, and I look at the agent and I say, "You listen here, you son of a bitch. We're going to take care of these kids right after Brian and I, without the kids, talk about how we're going to do it on the tour bus.
I
Right,
scoop up.
Brian? All right. And I start walking.
I scoop up all 3 kids like a jolly uncle and say, "Who likes small places?" And I open up one of the
The kids
places.
are terrified right now. They're
Okay,
terrified.
I
they're
give them
being
a
abducted.
hug and I was like, "Hey,
You're
man."
kidnapping the kids.
Yes,
Brian.
I'm kidnapping the kids. I'm not going to leave the kids behind. I take the kids and I go in the back and I sit down and I'm in the very back part away from all the sleeping areas and I close the door and I lock it. And I was just like, you could just go to the next town because we're not leaving these kids here in this decimated wasteland.
This woman comes running out after the bus. Oh, my ninos, my ninos.
Yeah, they have a mom, Brian.
Yeah, I know. I was like, lady, listen, you and I both know there's not a bright future for this town now that it's destroyed.
No, it's very bright. Look at the fire.
But
And also, she can move.
we're going to Bryce Vegas, and your kids can they become blackjack dealers and Uber drivers, and it's gonna be great.
Okay. I get in car now. She climbs in the RV.
Okay, great. You take care of all the kids. All right, let's
It's
just go.
she's like, can I stop talking like this? By the way, in this town, it's really a weird thing. I think it's a little
fine.
bit racist.
You know what? Yeah, you talk. You do you. Just for the record, you guys stay in the back of the bus, and we'll let you know when you're needed.
Hashtag problematic. All right, fine.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Onwards to Bryce Vegas.
Huzzah!
All right, so who do we fight in Bryce Vegas?
Well, we're gonna find out. But as you drive away, it's a really long straight road, and seems like every rearview mirror and reflection catches the flames of the town still on fire. And every now and then you see like a little glow running away from the town as somebody tries to escape, but they're still on fire.
I nudge Mecha Jury on the elbow. I'm like, that's great advertising. Everyone's gonna know how. What's her name again? The monstrous.
Monsters of El Paso.
Yeah, the Monsters of El Paso. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Yeah.
The agents.
Tell you what, goodbye to the gangbang.
Agent comes back, smoking cigars, like, listen, gentlemen, I had no idea how you were going to get your way through this one. Brilliant. Brilliant. And if you pull this in Las Vegas, I'm going to castrate you myself.
Oh, so that was not so great?
For here it was fine. We pull this anywhere else, may not work so much.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
setting
All right,
the
hold on.
town
It
on
was-
fire.
Was it the murder or the arson?
A little bit the murdering the crowd.
Got
Some
it.
places that's a
okay.
good gimmick.
That's where we
Some
gotta
places
keep the
it's a-
line.
I'm not
Crowd
saying get
safety.
rid of the gimmick.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, you know, if we can, maybe we'll change our names to Credible Threat. You know, when we say we're gonna burn all you alive, like they'll know we mean it.
We'll workshop that one too.
Okay,
Anyhow.
all right.
Yeah. So but the catchphrase. What do you think about? I mean, can we get that on a T-shirt for the next stop?
We'll burn
Working
you
on
alive.
it. We may have a copyright issue with Vivid Video, but we'll work on it. Brian, I'm sure you want to go spend time with your new Mexican family. Justin, we're gonna hang out here and drink beers.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So I go to the back and I attempt to explain the nuanced rules of my enhanced version of Monopoly.
And the RV comes to a screeching halt, and the agent runs forward to the front of the cab, goes, "Oh no!" Comes back, "Gentlemen, we have a problem. There's a roadblock." Next time on Journey Quest, we'll find out what's blocking the road.
Oh man, we gotta get to Bryce Vegas. Jesus, I murdered that whole town so we could get to Bryce Vegas, and that's 2 months in Mexico.
I mean, we did dodge that bullet. We don't have to do our time in the lower leagues.
Any picks?
Yeah, I got to pick. I went to go see me a movie. I believe it led the nominations for the Golden Globes this afternoon. It is The Shape of Water by Guillermo del Toro. And it was the first Guillermo del Toro movie that I really, really liked since Pan's Labyrinth. I thought it was really well done. It is definitely him throwing his fastball, fairy tale, magical realism. But it was good. All the performances are really good. Michael Shannon is just a great villain. So recommended. Shape of Water.
What was The Shape of Water, by the way? Did we ever get an answer on that?
You do. The very end, you find out why the movie's name what it is.
I watched The Disaster Artist last night.
Oh, that was what I wanted to go see, but it was sold out. Is it? What do you think?
It was great. I love it. You know that Bonnie's got a thing for annoying voices. That's why she won't watch the Mr. Plinkett reviews. That's why she won't watch South Park. Is just annoying voices drive her nuts. And so I'm like, hey, Disaster Artist, we can go see it. She's like, great. And then on the ride there, I'm like, oh, you should watch this. And I hand her my phone and say, watch the best of the clips of The Room. And she's like, well, that was funny. She was like, so what's this movie we're watching? I'm like, oh, it's about the making of that movie. And she was just like full on like, God, damn it, why? And she was not pleased.
Did you U-turn or?
No, I mean, she wanted to in that moment. But she ended up loving it. We both loved it. It's got a lot of heart. It's delightfully awkward at all the right moments. And of course, you could tell the moments that it's simplifying things in just the right way. But there's this awesome victory lap they do after the story's over, but just before the credits roll, where they side by side play simultaneously the recreated scenes from The Room and the actual scenes from The Room. And it's just uncanny. It's so wonderful how much effort they put into exactly identifying what was so bad about that movie and replicating it. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
I'm pumped to see it. I am very, very excited.
I love the trailers for it, and I want to see it because I feel a strange kind of empathy for Tommy Wiseau, and I'm like, man, I'm closer to that than.
Well, and there's moments of like awkward environmental things on set, and it was great, and I'm sure you will watch it, and much like I did, I thought of specific moments during hacking the system when it was super, super hot and you can't acknowledge it. You just have to mop off the sweat and plow through it. And maybe somebody is arguing on set and it's super awkward for everybody around or whatever. Like there was a lot of moments where it's just like, oh, I've had a taste of that in reality. That's a weird feeling.
Yeah. I'm going to reiterate my pick, which is A Fire Upon the Deep, which is one of the best, great sci-fi books dealing with AIs, things like this. And this was written in 1993. This book was so... Vernor Vinge was ahead of everything. Even like augmented reality in like 2006, I think Rainbow's End. This is just, I think Vernor Vinge is the guy who came up with the term the singularity, as far as I understand it. Is how we use it. So he's a brilliant book. Love the book. It's neat because it deals both with super high-tech civilizations and the very, very low-tech civilization, which is basically packs of dogs that have each pack has a single consciousness. Very, very, very much dig it. And the other thing too is I watched Spider-Man: Homecoming again. Delightful movie.
Still
delightful
good.
Movie.
I rewatched Logan because I saw it. What's funny is I saw it on HBO now, and I was like, oh, I should watch that. I'm like, oh, but I already bought it on Amazon. So seeing it on HBO made me load up Amazon and rewatch it.
Oh, have you used Movies Anywhere yet?
No. What's the story on that one?
So Movies Anywhere is a collaboration between Disney and the other studios. I think Paramount's like the lone holdout. But whatever movies you sign up for, whatever you authorize your iTunes account, your Amazon account, your Google Play account, and your Vudu account, and all of those movies are available in one app. So if you have an Apple TV now, it's available for Apple TV, so you can watch whatever. You don't have to. You could, if you bought your Amazon movies, you can watch them on your Apple device, or if you have a Roku, you can watch your Apple movies now. The exception is done studio by studio. Paramount's still the holdout on that, so that's really cool. And then, as you know, Amazon Prime's now on the Apple TV.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
right.
a really good place just to unify your library.
Yeah, we talked about that on Cord Killers. I'm now remembering, but yeah.
So cool.
Hey, by the way, Disaster Artist nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, and James Franco for Best Actor.
Golden Globe?
For the Golden Globes, yeah.
Right on.
This morning.
Gentlemen, it's been weird.
Oh, has
Cool.
it?
BRB.
Breaking news. Tom Merritt will not be joining us for Cord Killers.
Really?
Yeah. Turns out
he's,
he's got a movie to see.
Oh, that son of a b.
Look,
Yeah.
It could be any movie.
Could be any
It could
movie.
be any movie.
Just any number of movies that would be the kind of movie that would cause you to just, bail on one of your primary podcasts and just say,
Listen, he's seen a lot of movies lately because of his wife working at Rotten Tomatoes. How many? I'm sure he's missing Cord Killers episodes left and right, right?
no, he shows up for all of them. Yeah.
Oh, except for this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
but
just,
not this one,
that kind of movie that would cause you to just say, peace out, co-host of 8 years.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm giving you notice 4 hours before the show that I'll not be on it.
If only we had any idea this might happen.
All right, here, I'll be right back.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah, Sandwich Brad's got it right. He's going to go see The Disaster Artist again. Actually, apparently, talking with Tom, he's seen so many movies that when the idea came to go and see The Disaster Artist for Spoiler in Time tonight, he's like, I can't. I've seen way too many movies. So.
Yeah, W. Scott is one. There will be something else. We're reshuffling the whole studio office thing. So the whole little furniture thing we had over here that was like books and then had the light up sign on it. We're moving. I might just rehang it here. The only thing is that it's like it never lit up. It was like it's always kind of like it would light up. It looks bad, when it's lit up. It's hard.
Cord Killers is going to be at the same time. It'll be the normal time. We'll have Brian and Malongo, AE, and I'm sure I will be roped into parts of it as well. And then me and Brian will probably talk about Spoiler in Time, or talk about Disaster Artist. Yeah. Did you ever look into one of those ND panels for that sign? Like
What panels?
an ND, a neutral, not ND, a polarizer or some sort of light filter for that sign, maybe to
I think I'm used. It was mused about, but I don't know if I ever really looked into it.
Echo is asking me when I'm going to convince Brian and Jury to play PUBG again. Well, I mean, they own computers and have agency, so I haven't played PUBG in a hot minute. They've got that new map out. Vaulting is supposed to be live, but
I spent my Saturday with John Teasdale writing out the new article that we're going to do for the 45 president PUBG.
oh right,
We statted everything out. We gave everybody attribution stats. We researched what health they were in at the time they took the oath of the presidency. It's elaborate. It's fairly ridiculous, but I think people are really going to dig it.
and so that'll be a Medium article or something.
A Medium article and a politics podcast. Yeah.
Awesome. Justin or Andrew or Justin, you need to go take a break.
No, I'm ready to roll.
Okay. We did not get any letters.
I've got a discussion that I think we can get fairly specific on that I would like feedback from. Justin, do you think we could talk about the stuff that I called you about this week?
I mean, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think we can.
I mean, the only thing I would say with that is
no
that
specifics, but just the general idea of trying to move into a new space.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it is very nascent now, so I don't know how specific you would want to get about.
Well, let's do no specifics, and I just want to ask you guys, because you and Andrew have done essentially what I want to try to do, and probably have suggestions on it, or
I don't. I mean, I don't know exactly how much I would have to say on the general idea there.
Okay.
Just because what you're doing is kind of substantially different.
Yeah.
In my mind, at least.
Okay.
I want to talk about it. Talk about it.
Yeah, you push the conversation where you wanted to go, and I will do my best to dance along.
Okay. All right.
I'm curious.
Okay. All right.
All right, are you guys good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Andrew, you enjoying that banana?
It's banana-rific.
All right, take it away, guys, in 3, 2.
Welcome to After Things. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood,
Hello.
Justin Robert Young,
Top of the morning to you.
and our producer is Mr. Bryce Castillo.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Gentlemen, on After Things, we talk about the role of a creative professional, what to expect, how to handle challenges, what to deal with, etc. The couple topical things we could talk about. But Brian, you have a look on your face. You look like a man with a question, like a man who would write in a letter to After Things if you weren't actually a host on After Things.
Okay, you know what? Here, as a matter of fact, I wrote a letter. Let me definitely read it straight from this printed letter that I'm holding in front of me.
Is that A4 paper held sideways? Because it's a very big letter.
No, it's actually tabloid sized.
Wait, is it a map? Like, did you have to fold it out like a road map? Like,
or is it a scroll?
It's a scroll. I'm reading from a scroll. Hey, After Things crew. First time writer, long time co-host with you. My question has to do with what happens.
Skip to the good part as I read it. You read your own thing. Big fan, blah, blah, blah.
So here's my question is, when it comes to long-term plans, and I guess I can reveal that this is regarding the long-term plans of the Modern Rogue, there are aspects of where I wanted to be 5 years from now that at some point you have to get started. And part of it, like right now, the Modern Rogue is a once-a-week video. And we finally launched an online store, or the beginnings of an online store. It has a lot of growing to go through. But part of it was also, like, I feel like as a brand, the Modern Rogue can really grow and be something that is a 20 years from now, an Esquire or Maxim or a Playboy level lifestyle brand. And when I picture it in that far-flung future, or even in the short-flung future, like 5 years from now, I picture it as being a place that has daily content written and maybe up to 5 videos a week or 3 or whatever, with multiple co-hosts, something that grows beyond just being me and Jason Murphy. And my question is, I did this exercise almost a year ago, and here we are almost a year in, and I'm wondering, when is the right time to begin to dabble in a completely different media than you have been dealing with? Because everything has been just video with just me and Jason. And it won't be, let's say if we were to start a blog or something, it wouldn't be just me and Jason writing all these articles. Clearly, we would need to bring in more people to write more content and all this stuff. And I would love whatever wisdom you have about launching an online blog, because many people starting a blog think, oh, we'll make the blog, it'll be popular, and then we'll sell advertising on it. But as we've talked about on this show, our format is different enough that that we wouldn't be doing the blog specifically for ad revenue dollars, but more just to create a complete ecosystem that draws more people into watching the videos and gets more people interested in buying, some of the clever gizmos as the Modern Rogue store grows to where it's a lifestyle that you buy into. And I don't know how early is too early to start on another set of content that is not the videos that we've already been doing.
Am I allowed to question the wisdom of that?
Oh, please. Yeah, by all means.
Did you hear about BuzzFeed's assets or whatever being acquired or whatever?
No. BuzzFeed got acquired?
Are there
Mashable?
Sorry. Yeah. I was thinking of BuzzFeed's. Yeah. Mashable acquired. So the problem is, as you know, I mean, because you talk about your goal isn't to sell advertising, which is good because there's no money in that.
Right.
Text, articles, things like that are declining considerably as a revenue generator because also the amount of attention spent on them and time spent on them, it is just a very, 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 very declining area. And so the return on that is minimal. And so, yeah, Ziff Davis bought Mashable. And it's just, and there was a big push, 10 years ago and stuff where blog networks are sprouting up everywhere. But you look at like Huffington Post, all this, they're not making much ad revenue. Ad revenue is dying. Ad revenue is basically going to video and places where you can put video stuff. Okay. So in your model is, hey, we sell stuff. We do cool things with like, what you're doing with Modern Rogue products, things like this. You want a funnel, right? So your goal is to create a funnel for that. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's part of it. But basically looking to expand into shareable resources of different varieties. Video is delightful and lucrative in many ways, but also very limited as far as its shareability. There's a big difference. If somebody says, take a look at this and it's an article, I will almost certainly skim it. If it's a video, I will think, do I have 5 minutes I want to invest in this? No, I do not. And I will not even open it. So it occurs to me that a lot of what we've done on the Modern Rogue already could be broken out into articles describing all the stuff we did and creating a bigger, more robust resource for people to experience the exact same thing, just in a totally different way.
I mean, maybe. I guess my question is, how much will that I get as writing books and stuff, the conventional wisdom is, write books, do blog posts, do stuff like this to sort of drive people to your books. The evidence that I saw that really works was minimal versus, and the problem is, it's like, it's easy to say like, it's easier for me to read a thing and be interested in a thing than it is for me to watch a video, but also if they watch the video, they're really pre-qualified to be really more engaged in doing this. I have this sort of very, as a funnel, I don't know. I think that's the way the internet worked 10 years ago. I don't know now. And I look at people that create networks of content sort of stuff, and I kind of think that like, if I look at like I watch a lot of Adafruit videos and stuff because I do a lot of tech stuff, and they have a lot of different people who work for them doing different projects and things like this, and they do different kinds of content. Rhett and Link, the way they've expanded into video laterally across the way because they realize, oh, people who like us for this, they'll like us for this totally unrelated thing, but they like our personalities. My concern is just as a time sink. It's just the amount of time that you spend putting together that content versus I like the idea of expanding it into a bigger enterprise, but all the enterprises you named are having tremendous financial problems in part because they're tied to print or whatever. And so I would almost think that just, I would kind of think that doubling down into video in different ways, less intensive ways.
Oh, that's tough because we're already so maxed out on bandwidth, and I guess we could unlock bandwidth by bringing more video stuff, but it just seems like
or people.
What's that?
or people. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, why don't you, like, I could think of, like, I know a guy who's really good, John Park. He's a good guy picking locks, things like this, technical kind of guy like this. I would go to a guy like that and say, hey, we want to sponsor, a once a week show from you. We want to sponsor a show. We want to sponsor, we want to produce or buy content from you. You go do this. We'll give you these resources to make it happen. I think that the bottleneck is you and Jason. If you're saying all we have to do, but I'm saying, like, if all of those things they have in common is they're people running groups of other people creating content from them.
So, yes, and I think that part of the challenge that Brian has now is not only the creation of the content, because I think it's safe to say, right, Brian, that if the Modern Rogue relied on you creating the content like Scam School relies on you creating the content, that the Modern Rogue wouldn't exist. Jason is somebody that it does a tremendous amount of writing and researching, and that's really his in terms of the episode mapping out. So I think you have brought on people. Modern Rogue is an example of you expanding into more video stuff, but right now you guys are also beyond coming up with the videos. You guys are kind of just as a machine, as a production house, maxed out on, time and hours from your staff. Right.
Well, and plus on top of that, we've done a little bit of asking for feedback from the audience, and the audience, much to my surprise, pushed some segment of the audience pushed back at the idea of going 3 times a week or more than once a week. Like a lot of people are saying, like, no, I like one good show per week and I don't want any more.
I hear you, and I guess, but the problem is we're trying to talk about the part of the audience that you don't have yet. Now, I know my friend Jordan Gold, who, when we have time, we do Magic Club, right? Jordan's an expert on cards, card technique, goes to Gathering for Gardner, stuff like that. Were I in your shoes, I would think to go to a guy like him and say, okay, you can be our card guy, our card or Magic paraphernalia guy, and you go do once a week a thing, whatever. We run our ads on there, or we do this, or it's part of our network. I get you're limited in part of your bottleneck, but it's also been your greatest resource there. And that tells me the thing that's really working is expand that. I'm not saying doing more modern Rogue shows, but it might be the modern cardist, then pulls that audience into what you're doing. Is you've only begun to tap the potential audience, a small percentage part of that. And either you're talking about one thing to serve people you already have, or to pull people in.
Oh, no. I don't think it's to serve. I mean, I guess there would be an ancillary benefit to serve people who are already in the ecosystem, but basically, right now we're creeping up just under 100 episodes of the Modern Rogue, and during that, if you want to break it all out, there's probably, if all you did was mine and convert the entire back catalog of Modern Rogue episodes into chunks of blog content, there's probably 150 to 200 chunks of blog content, because oftentimes we'll combine 3 or 4 methods of a thing in a single episode or whatever. It seems like that right now we're relying on one platform on YouTube, and we're relying on one audience that will sometimes like what we're doing, sometimes not like what we're doing. So it's like there's episodes, there's some people who just never click on the drink episodes because they're like, well, I don't drink, I'm not old enough, or whatever the reason is. And so as a result, that's the limiting factor on how many people we reach. It seems like even if all I did was unlock all of those aha moments, all of those takeaways. For example, when someone types in spicy margarita, they probably will find a recipe on one site, and then 3 or 4 items down, they'll find our video on making a Texas spicy margarita. It seems like rather than saying, oh, well, we're video and they're print, meanwhile, the print guys are going to get, because what people want is the recipe, they're going to go straight to it. It seems like having a blog post for all of these chunks would only act as a funnel to gravitate more people into the black hole of falling into the episodes.
It may very well. I guess in the metrics I've seen for like how well those posts and stuff, one, trying to promote the platform to get it there, then serve as a feed to the thing or whatever. I understand, the goal. I'm going from a position of I don't know, and what I have seen has been
sure.
man, I guess what I'm saying is like, you have a thing that works really well. How do you take that thing and do it? And I get there's the resource. I'm just thinking like, oh, could you get again, expanding? I mean, like bringing somebody else, like let's get somebody to do Instagram, channels for us, like, let's go laterally in these things.
And that's part of it as well, because nothing about the YouTube environment lends itself particularly well to any kind of article stuff. But meanwhile, as you and I have discussed before, I've been obstinately refusing to put energy into the Facebook side of things because I resent the fact that they keep, that they duped me over and over and over again. But of course, that's not a good long-time strategy, is to hold a grudge. Meanwhile, if there's somebody that could build a modern rogue Facebook channel with versions of all the videos that had subtitles on it so that people could, scrolling past it, suddenly get seduced into following along whether there's audio or not, and then also, once, twice, or thrice weekly articles breaking apart, like, here's how to make a homemade PVC blowgun pipe thing or whatever. Like, that's a platform that I do feel like could cause people to drift into our orbit. And I know for a fact that I and nobody on my team right now wants to take responsibility for that. And I guess that's part of the reason I'm wondering if some kind of written component and somebody who is familiar with that territory wouldn't be a good thing to add.
I don't know. I mean, I just, the landscape has changed so much for me. So I don't know.
Problem with this is also like, you are describing a problem. you are drawing an outline that looks very suspiciously like the solution that you have, and obviously this is very early in these kinds of conversations, so
correct.
We don't want to talk about it. But it's like, I know Andrew does not. To bring you guys behind the curtain, I know where Brian is going. Brian is but we're kind of doing shadow theater of what Brian has in mind. Andrew does not. So I think what
that's kind of what's exciting about this discussion for me. But keep going.
So yeah, well, I mean, I guess, but at the end of the day, really, we're not going to really get much of anywhere, because like Andrew's right. Look, the idea, because I wouldn't even describe it as blog content, what you really want, and what I think that you are talking about. Like, yes, it will probably be on a web page somewhere, so it can be indexed by Google. But like you said, this is more social media, richer social media content than it is what we did with iTricks, which was like, hey, we want to do a blog and we want to update our blog 5 times a day, and we want to make sure that we tend to good comment section like that. That journey that started in 2006, right, is nowhere near what you want to do right now in terms of the like
that's not where I'm. And again, I don't know what he's trying to do. I'm looking at it from the high level, looking at media companies right now and why they're all driving to video, why they're getting away from written content, why the push in that world is away from content to video. And I prefer to read articles. I prefer that myself to stuff. But that push, as far as like in the ad stuff, that's where I'm not putting my own experiences into this. I'm putting in, every time I read about a blog or media, something that does textual based stuff, why there's a steady decline for that, because the cost to produce that versus other stuff. That's just from my.
Yeah. I mean, although I do think that like those things, those empires are crumbling because display ads are falling off a map, and all advertising is owned by Google and Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm looking at people who sell physical things and seeing how are they trying to move and how do they do it. And I see the people who sell stuff and create content to do that, why they keep trying to figure out ways to create. That's why I brought up Adafruit and stuff, why they're trying to do more video. So without knowing what you're really trying to go, I have no way to answer that other than what other people are doing.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we could leave it there. I guess my general question is, let's say regardless of the specifics of where I am, if I had a 5-year vision and now 1 year after having that vision, I suddenly find myself with an opportunity to start at it. I guess what I'm really weighing is the how much do you decide to gamble with what resources you have? You know, like how soon is too soon to move into the next phase of what your target is for a 5-year
I'll apply
goal?
to you a hypothetical that we'll be vague about, but you both know that I'm involved in right now, where
Okay.
I've been presented a gift of an opportunity in the middle of a bunch of other things that is an amazing opportunity. Now, funding, everything, whatever for this kind of thing. And my deciding factor on to pursue it or not at each step of the way is, can I find the people and the talent to do it? Because I could say yes, I'm going to do this thing and tell the people that I want to do it and convince them. And then all of a sudden have all the money I need to make this thing happen. But if I don't have the people to pull it off and make it work right, and I don't have the bandwidth to do it, then it's a disaster. So it's my bandwidth plus recruiting the talent that I need for it. And for me, it's finding people. So my life the last week or so has been spent talking to people, different people, like somebody like this. They're sort of what I could use for here, but if I get them into the fold, then they'll be good for this, whatever. For you, I think that there are opportunities there. If you know that you have the bandwidth and the people to pull it off, then then you do it. You'll figure out you need a team. If you got the team, and your team you have isn't too stressed out with everything else you're trying to do.
Right. Well, and that's the real question is all of a sudden, what happens when you find yourself with the opportunity to expand your team ahead of the schedule that you thought was going to happen? And it's like,
yeah, if you got the people and you got the money, then yeah.
Okay.
Again, without knowing.
I know. This is what's fascinating. This is really, really good to hear. It's not often that I get to play Shark Tank on our own show and go up and vaguely
that's for me.
pick
I've had
something.
I've had some other stuff I've never talked about. Public. I've talked to you guys. Probably, like I've had stuff. I mean, I can say now, like, I had to turn down a TV special a couple of years ago because the turnaround time was too fast. And I could have gotten everything done, but the network was like, we need this done by this. We're like, can you cut checks in this period of time? Can you cut checks in this window? And they're like, oh, no, we'd have to do it'd have to be like 4 months or this or whatever. And I didn't want to put out personally, and with my partners, $500,000 to foot the bill because Marcy and accounting's on vacation, and I had to say, no, and that was a couple of years ago. I had to say no to a special with, a very, very well-known network, because it was like they got this. They had a little hole in the slot. They went to me like, we'd love to be able to go do this. Can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like, great. I'm like, you would need to pay us this much first so we can go get everything. And we're like, oh, well, it was just an idea, So I've had that happen. After I did my show, Don't Trust Andy Romaine, I got offered to go do. Blaine had done a tour in Asia and it did great, right? So all of a sudden they want to bring more American magicians over there, and my TV show had just aired all over Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want you to come do a tour. I'm like, great. I talked to a organization of which I have a continuous relationship business-wise from it, and I won't say that it's an agency or not. I'm like, hey, can you recommend somebody who could put this together? And they couldn't come up with anybody. Because like, I need a tour producer or whatever to do this, and they couldn't come up with anybody. And they're like, well, who do you know? I'm like, I know people, but it's like this and that, and it was just, I could have put a thing together, and I could have said yes, and I could have made a lot of money, but it would not have been done right.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that because I didn't have the person in place to do this. And theoretically, the people that should have been able to help me find that were.
Well, the mere fact that the core of your opinion appears to be like, if you have the talent and you believe in the talent, then yes. Is exactly what I was hoping to get out of that. So
Yep.
so I guess to make it more of a general after things topic, there's nothing more precious than people who understand the voice of what you're trying to do and are willing to carry the ball for any segment. If you're an entertainer and it's an agent who actually gets and likes your show and understands how to market it, that is the most valuable resource on the planet, is other people's attention and creative efforts in alignment with where you're trying to head.
Yeah. Yep. Agree. So I look forward to a sometime when you have time, you telling me what the hell you're talking about. So
we'll do our after show that only Patreon Platinum Ebony Thrice Uranium members get to hear.
This is a joke.
So I have a question that it is not at all been talked out, that you guys probably haven't even really thought about. And I'd love to hear your take on it. Have you heard of this little thing going on with Patreon?
Oh yeah, we can speculate wildly about how this is going to shake out.
Yeah, Justin, I think, has had to do marathon live sessions on this and whatnot.
I did the call-in show I do on Fridays, which is usually like a 2 to 3 hour stream, was pretty much all about it, and really that was me trying to make up for the fact that Bryce was basically our PR. He was our press secretary in the hardcore, the hardest of the hardcores. On our Discord, who are very confused, as they should be. No, this was I sectioned it out into me being very negative and me being very positive, and that was my negative incarnation.
Let me give a little backstory. So we've talked about this before. One of my criticisms of the Patreon system of yore was, I think that getting that monthly big fat bill can sometimes be intimidating. That's when you see a lot of people drop off if they're if they're paying for a bunch of people. And I'd said, would be great would be an alternative system where you could bill people separately, because if somebody's paying $20 a month for your show or whatever, then let them just see that bill instead of $100, $150, like set like a white label way to sell individual, to have people be billed individually, so it's not like one big fat cable subscription thing, so you could sell it individually. That was I repeatedly said I think that would be a great idea. I would love this to be. And I first heard what Patreon's doing. I'm like, oh, this sounds great. And then I looked at the deal and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. So what happened is Patreon's moved to a model like that on the surface, where basically like shows get, if you sponsor a show, pay for a show, you get billed, separately. So each show is but it's a separate credit card transaction, separate everything for it, which is good when it's like $5, $10 a month or whatever kind of thing. But if it's a weekly kind of thing, or if it's a dollar level commitment, then I'm paying $1 to support your show. Great. Well, plus, the 30% credit card fee plus this percentage, blah, blah, blah. So now I have to pay $1.38 or whatever. It is not optimum.
So the reason they're doing this is because what we're doing, as best I'm able to understand on the periphery, and I would say there's a good chance I'm the least informed of everyone on the panel here.
But, Brian was off on vacation in New York, having a whole nother immersive, emotional, hardworking experience, while off in the distance, it's like, does that smell like chicken? Oh, it's the burning flesh in the kingdom that I came from.
Yeah, but it sounds as though what they're trying to fix is the rampant problem of people making patronage just long enough to reap all of the insider benefits and then peace out. Not keeping their obligations on a monthly basis.
This is a feature that they have called Charge Up Front.
Yes.
Which they have.
What was previously optional, right?
It is optional, and it seems like it's available to a lot of people, but I don't really know why they're taking so long to roll it out to people. But yeah, Patreon's long-term goal that they stated during one of these updates was like, we want to make it so that you have Charge Up Front for everybody, and that people can't just, like you were saying, kind of
make promises and then not really keep them.
The other thing was that they I just had it. There was one other big thing that they wanted to
well, no,
double billing.
That was the thing. Is that the Charge Up Front became its own problem, because then it was like, okay, well, I just subscribed on the 28th. Why am I getting charged again on the 1st?
Right. So
I've gotten double dipped, and that caused them to get a lot of support tickets and complaints that, like, this is BS. Like, I didn't even get a full month. And so now it's all right. Well, how do we solve that going forward? Well, then let's bill you on your anniversary. Okay, well, if we're billing you on your anniversary, then maybe doing group charging isn't great. Also, that's not really great for exclusive content in general. And from what Andrew said, like there is a creeping, a problem of like these Patreon bills in general are getting higher and higher. So they're like, okay, so what we'll do is we'll charge everybody for everything, and because we're creator friendly, we will, based on our interactions with patrons, we will shift the credit card and the processing fee to them. So all creators will now have a very simple 95% of what their number is that they will take home.
Yeah.
Seems
so
simple.
if you're spending $10 a month to support shows you like, now 35%, you have to pay 35% more to keep paying them roughly the same amount between credit card.
It depends how you're supporting them.
If
Because
you're like doing
it's-
10 shows at $1 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because the big part of that new fee is 2.9% plus 35 cents for every pledge. So if
Now-
it's once a month, that's 35 cents on top of that existing pledge.
One of the ad hoc solutions that we seem to be seeing internally on our side is a bunch of people taking their pledge from $1 per episode, and then they up it to $4 per episode, and I have to assume they're setting a $4 monthly cap on there, so that they're only paying for the first episode of the
One
month, and then they've
processing.
hit their max, and then
Yeah.
that way they're only getting a 35-cent ding on
And
there.
But also
the
they're-
charge.
Oh, no, go
Explain to me why they didn't just like the charge up front, like oh, okay, to get access to this content, pay for if it's a weekly, pay for your first month up front, and then you'll get billed in a month for everything on
Well,
that.
That is, yeah, that does seem like that's something they should have done. Because they
Here-
do that with paid posts.
Well, and all of this makes a lot more sense if everybody is pledging per month. But
No,
one-
that's an episode one. Like you pay for your first 5 episodes first to get like if you pay in advance for 5 episodes, you get full access.
Yeah, well, there's no way to say, hey, we're per creation and we expect to have X amount per month. There's no like system field.
No,
for that
what I'm
yet,
saying is
but-
like if you're doing if I'm paying per episode, if I'm paying per episode, like like weird things per episode, okay. If I'm Patreon and we can say, all right, who do you want to have access to everything? Like, oh, if they've bought 5 episodes, paid for 5, then they get access to everything. So you could upfront say, let me pay for my first 5 episodes. Boom, congratulations, you get access to everything. And then after the 5th episode, we'll start billing you. Like internet service, or that the first 6 months you're paying for this, you get this price there or whatever. I mean, I assure you on paper it's simple. I mean, it's the idea like pay for the first 5 up front, get access to all that, then we'll start billing you after those 5 episodes or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that there's the unknowns here are exactly where they want to go, because this seems to be tied to other decisions that they are making, and part of it is that they are going to get rid, full stop, of batch payments. That they want everything to be transacted right there on the spot, which puts money in creators' hands faster. And that's why they are building in these fees now. This is according to Jack Conte's blog update on Thursday or Friday, I forget.
It just kills that dollar level, and that's the problem. I think that, there is a very interesting alternate history of the internet going back to the early 1990s, which you looked at when they were trying to settle like which sort of protocols to use for like how to do like HTTP requests, et cetera, and the World Wide Web protocols. And there was this one idea, which was to make it easier to put everything behind kind of a wall, which was problematic. The internet should be open, but then it was going to be but along with that was, then you could create a transaction system to be able to 5 cents for this article, 10 cents for this or whatever, just sort of, because, we like, oh, the internet's free. No, it's not. Somebody's paying the bill, and you're paying the bill with your attention span, which is being grossly undervalued versus what, we demand a minimal living wage. Well, how much time have you lost watching stupid ads that, are being resold that if you could have just paid for that content to begin with, you would be happier. But in many cases, maybe not. But anyway, I digress. Point is microtransactions. PayPal actually has a way to do microtransactions where they reduce the cost per. You can do dollar transactions with it. It's buried deep within the PayPal API, But there's ways to do $1 purchases, $2 purchases, don't incur the $30 charges. And there's ways to make this sort of stuff happen. But everybody got sort of locked into the whole mindset of, you know, the way things work. So like, yeah, micropayment fees, click on fixed fee for that. So you have, it's a 5 cents fixed fee. So it's only 10 cents. I think if you go to the US, what does it say? Like,
they actually
ends up being like 5% plus like a 5 cent fee or something like that.
5 cent fee.
Oh yeah,
US dollar.
US dollar 5
Yep.
cent fee.
So it's 10 cents. So there's a way to do it via the PayPal system through the API to say, okay, you want to make a dollar pledge, great. You get 90 cents of that dollar versus 65 cents or whatever. And I put it down to laziness and stuff because I've talked to people who do, you know, some of the payment systems, things like this. I'm like, why don't you like, oh, I'm not familiar with the API. And then so somebody tells corporate or somebody tells us in many instances like, no, you can't be done. It can be done. I built a secret thing. I built an entire system out of curiosity on top of whole micropayments thing as sort of a publishing thing based upon that, which would solve so many problems. I mean, not my solution, but just the idea of, oh, the dollar pledge.
Sure. So oh, sorry. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I we're going to see where this shakes out. The reaction has been bad. I think that there is damage, not, you know, damage that can't be repaired, but there is damage done to the Patreon brand now that was not there a week and a half ago. But, you know, again, we don't know exactly where they want to go in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, right? And you are seeing what I think is kind of the biggest bummer is that Patreon, which to me, the greatest thing the Patreon gave to us was the name brand of how to do this thing. And it was safe. It was a bank. It was just, oh, you do it through here. No one's like, oh, Patreon, are they going to steal my credit card? Is this a weird site? No. It became very quickly a trusted resource for crowdfunding. And now it's like, oh, well, why? Like now, I'd like to support you, but please tell me somewhere else to support you because I don't agree with Patreon, or I don't think that Patreon has your best interest at heart, and I'm a fan, and I want you to support something else. So like that's hard, and it sucks. And right now, I'm watching all these things come in, like where people are hacking their pledges so they can keep pledging but not pay 4 fees, which they shouldn't. Sometimes 5 fees for weekly patrons like us. And it's like, I know that they're less than what they were before because I can see that math, and it totally screws all my rewards. Like I had exclusive content rewards that now are just totally meaningless because it was meant to be, hey, you're doing this per week, and now they're doing it for 1 week. Also, the number that's on my site is totally worthless. Like, yeah, it is just a complete fabrication.
Well, and that's the toughest thing as a creator is trying to figure out, like, well, are we in a good place or a bad place? What are the actual numbers? Because they had already sort of tweaked those to be best estimates of what the give or take home for the creator was going to be. But now that everybody's playing kind of off book in placing their pledges, you're right, it's nonsense.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because obviously, you know, we've talked about ways to improve the system or whatever, but you have a case like when I opened up Skype today, every time they do a change on it, it gets worse. Like now I can't scale the size of the window. I either have this normal little vertical thing here or this full screen thing. And I, you know, Brian mentioned something like they're trying to make it like Snap or something like that, which, you know, it's funny because like that's Snap, which is going through a huge redesign because it's become too problematic and too difficult to use, et cetera. And there's sometimes people like, oh, this thing's working, let's go do this. In the case of Patreon, it's like, is this a case of where, hey, maybe they should have been very proactive. This is what we want to do. Let's have conversations. The conversations they're having now seem like ones they should have had before this launched.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so spoiler alert, there's going to be an open letter that's being drafted. And
wait, by you or by Jack Conte?
By people who are upset by the move.
Yeah.
So I will assume I don't know if word even reached you, right? But I assume that your name will be on it. My name is on it. And there's a few other big prominent people whose name is on it, effectively saying what we're saying right now.
I'm totally ignorant of this. I've not received, or maybe I haven't opened the right email.
Yeah, it was born from a Slack. Anyway, it's I don't know if how much we want to put out there before, but like
must not be a very open letter.
It's and there's a lot of people who make a lot of money for Patreon that are going to be on it, in my opinion, and it's like, I don't know. They've been chatty at times. I mean, Patreon has gotten back to my emails, and allegedly I'm going to have a phone call with them this week, but a lot of people have had phone calls with them last week and this week, and it's not like anything has changed. It sucks. I think that the one thing that will never come back is the idea that, like, oh, Patreon's this cool place where I can feel safe. And, like, I think at a certain point that, if people are, if the fans are happy with it and things are growing, that'll be there. But for right now, I do think that there was a huge mistake of them just kind of dropping this and pretending and hiding behind the idea of, well, we've done the math. And we talked to creators and we talked to patrons and they're all into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't seem like it now because all my patrons are super pissed off and all the creators I talked to have lost, hundreds at times for the bigger accounts, hundreds of patrons and dollars. And one person that I know that makes a fairly large amount on Patreon was like, look, I don't think that there's any reason to think that they're going to come back. Those people that just are spurned by the platform.
Yeah.
Like, why do they, like, because they're going to get an email from Patreon? No, they won't. They're going to hope that they continue to pay attention and they're going to trust me to say, don't worry, guys, everything's all cool. Come on back. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But if, like, right now, you're seeing the vitriol on some of this where it's like, this is a VC thing. This is Patreon doing a money grab. They're finding like old blog posts from like their growth manager talking about how it's the bigger accounts that move the wheel, not the smaller accounts. Like it's like it's bad now.
And that's, I'm going to tell you, two fundamental problems. One was disingenuous, like, no, creators get 95%, which is flat out not.
That was a tactical huge slip up for them to try to casually paint this as an improvement and a superior.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, that $1 pledge. Did you get 5% plus the 30? What's the credit card fee they're charging? 30 or 30 cents?
It's like 5 and 5. So basically, you got 90% of whatever.
Wait, only like 5% of it. Yeah, so you're getting a.
It was 5% to Patreon and about 5% for processing.
So it's not a flat fee, like a 30 cents per charge?
It was not previously.
Because it depended on the level of the person's pledge and the method that they were pledging with, whether it was through Stripe or through PayPal.
Right.
So it's not like a minimum 30-cent charge. Like, what is a person, if I want to pledge $1?
Under the new system or the old system?
Yeah, right
the
now,
new one.
The new one, it would be $1.30, $1.38.
If you did,
so yeah, there's the 30-cent crest. That's what I'm getting at. There's the percentage plus the flat 30-cent per charge.
2.9% plus 35 cents for each creation. So that would mean
they're not even at a 0.29 credit card fee, which is kind of BS. So anyhow, that's another.
By the way, real quick, like for example, Dead Polymers in the chat says, "I dropped all my Patreons. I'll do Twitch or YouTube subscriptions instead." Understand, if you think that you're not enough of your money is getting to the creators through Patreon, then you're insane to think that anything worth value is going through Twitch. Twitch is a 50-50 split. So if 35 cents on the dollar is an inappropriate fee, then do not delude yourself into thinking like, well, now I'm doing Twitch subscriptions, because that's dog crap money to as far as a percentage to the provider.
So yeah, so on that, the point I was getting to, like that 95%. 95% go, okay. So if somebody's paying $1 pledge, they're now paying $1.38. What percentage is 95 cents of that? And I think that's more closer to 60. It's like, yeah, disingenuous there. That's problematic. I was going to get to another point, but it's just, yeah, subscription services, by the way, guys, yeah, those things don't pay out very well at all. They're just problematic. It's no bueno. I mean, I just, that's a frustrating, again, I'm just, and I always just say, like, the bigger clients where the money is. And to me, in the internet, that is the wrong thinking. Yahoo was like, you know what? If you don't have an ad budget of more than $5,000 a month, don't even talk to us because you're not worth our time. Google said, you know, we could probably make $10 a month work, you know, if we automate it, you know. If you figure out how to take advantage of the smaller end, it is much bigger than everything else. And that Patreon was like going, yeah, those dollar things aren't working. Dollar's a magic number for people to contribute. It's a magic number. There's a reason Apple was like, we want 99-cent songs. We want content at this price. There is a reason there are dollar stores and all this. And if you cannot get that model to work with the existing infrastructure and stuff, and there are ways to do it, even within, say, hey, you know, you get billed $10 a month, whatever. If you're trying to run away from that, you're running away from the money. You're running away from the real growth and the real area, because you're saying, hey, to the smaller creators, we don't need you. Smaller creators today are the big creators of tomorrow, and the fans that are here are going to be there. And that's just in my opinion.
I'll tell you what, I don't even like Facebook, right? But I've got a couple Facebook pages. Facebook finds me on my phone whenever I post anything, and it's just like, hey, you got a buck? You just want to give me a buck, and I'll just throw it out to more people. You want a buck? It's a buck. Hey, it's a buck. Come on, man. What's the deal? It's Facebook. Like, they're hunting for it. And you're right. Google. Exactly. Again, and these are the people that killed advertising. All of advertising is dead because of these companies, because they're like, microtransactions will add up to macro. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope, I've been hoping and praying that my Christmas wish will come true. All I want is that sad-faced Jack Conte YouTube video where he explains that they screwed up and they are putting this on hold so they can review it going forward. Because beyond that, man, like, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm always going to have Patreon, but it's like, it's hard. It's hard with a straight face to just be like, yeah, no, this is the new way that you should do it. And for me, I'm not going to go into all the email correspondence I've had with them, but I asked them straight out, are you guys pushing me to a different model? Like, because this seems like you're punishing me right now. For being per creation. Like there are people who theoretically could be doing new creations every single day, and instead of 31 pledges being bundled up at the end of the month and having only a tiny fee associated, this insistence that each one needs to be a microtransaction with a 35% or 35-cent fee on top of it, problematic. Yeah. And it's like, they told me straight out, no, this is not what we're trying to do. We are not trying to kill per creation. And it's like, well, then, you know, the cure's worse than the disease, dog.
Well, and I'm still hung up on that 35-cent credit card transaction, because I get better terms. If you're taking 5% of this, I can get better terms. Any one of us we can get 29-cent credit card transaction fee using Stripe or whatever. And then if we're at a certain other level and we're willing to handle a certain amount of chargebacks or whatever like that, that actually creeps lower. That's, to me, I see that. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, this is our fee on this. And I'm like, I know that's not the real fee. You've just added on, 12% or whatever percentage to that. Now you're lying to me, and I don't trust you because you have no problem telling me this is what it costs when I know that's not. I go through this a lot with like vendors and certain stuff, like, oh yeah, no, this is the thing. I'm like, take a higher percentage over here and I will trust you. Try to hide it over here. I don't trust you an inch.
Well, I think I'm hearing you loud and clear, and I agree. People should go to patreon.com/weirdthings and support this show. Just $1 an episode, or $4 an episode, and set your limit monthly to $4.
Or just PayPal us the money. And it's funny because like people, like a lot of people like PayPal, which is true, but a lot of the frustration from PayPal came because they were so consumer focused. And if you were selling something and there was a question that you didn't, send a shipping order ID or whatever, PayPal would defer to the customer because customers, like, there are far more people buying stuff than selling stuff. And if we lose somebody selling stuff, there'll be somebody else willing to sell it. But people willing to buy stuff, they're not saying they didn't make mistakes and they haven't been slow to adapt or whatever. But that's a lot of it. Whenever you're like, PayPal, like what? Well, they held these funds for me for this. And I had a very funny thing where I had a vendor once pay me like a $50,000 deposit, which cleared, went through PayPal. I deposited, got it through there. And I got a nervous call from PayPal security like 3 days later, like, yeah, we need to know what this was for. And I'm like, why? And it was a magic project. I'm like, why? Well, because you actually technically shouldn't have been authorized. I'm like, well, it was, and I have the money now. Well, really, I need you to put this thing together to tell me. I'm like, I don't think I need to do that. I really don't think I need to do this thing. And then it was just this, they thought I was, I'm like, why don't you talk to the person who paid it if you have a problem? Like, well, we don't because they're your like was a big corporation. It was just this funny fear in there, and like, I'll help you a little bit. Like, we need to know what it is. Like, I'm a magician, I can't tell you what it's for.
What a great fallback position.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to talk picks real quick?
Surely.
Bryce cut together this interview that I did with Nate Staniforth, and I just am so pleased with it. Mainly when I'm on Scam School, I'm loud and screamy and over the top. But this was an opportunity to try to match Nate Staniforth, who's a very talented magician's energy. And we talked for about 30 minutes about his new upcoming book, Here is Real Magic, and more importantly, about his philosophy of magic. And I think that it scales to anybody who has a creative endeavor that they adore and they fear what their life will be like should they become disillusioned with it. And I think that's the part that's made me the most proud. Much like the letter that Teller wrote to me 20 years ago, reaches outside of the world of magic and instead feels important to other artistic endeavors. I think this is how this interview with Nate Staniforth goes. If you go to Scam School and just type in Nate Staniforth, you'll see it's titled Nate Staniforth, Here is Real Magic. I think you'll like it. And also, he's got a cool idea for a trick that he's trying to open source, and anyone who pre-orders his new book, Here's Real Magic, will get the intro video explaining this new magic technique that he's trying to put together.
Sweet.
My pick is I finished Future Man on Hulu. It was it's a bit uneven, but I really liked it. It was fun, and obviously I think it's at its best when it is this kind of gleeful hodgepodge of time traveler tropes. But it's very, very fun, and it takes some really, really kooky turns by the end.
That was one of my favorite parts of The Disaster Artist, is seeing how many of the same actors were there from Future Man.
Really?
Yeah, both. It's
a Rogan Goldberg thing.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so Seth Rogen is in there, and but also the guy who owns the video game store with the Gap Tooth.
Paul Scheer. Yeah,
Paul Scheer, and then also the guy who plays Josh Futterman is a major character in.
That's great.
Wait,
yeah,
he was in Disaster Artist.
yeah. He was the kid with the basketball playing 12-year-old kid.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Bonnie was the one. Bonnie was the one who spotted it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's pretty great.
Huh.
Yeah, when they're diving into bed and rolling around together and all that stuff. Yeah,
Denny, that classic name, Denny.
A quick shout out, by the way. Paste Magazine listed the 50 best book covers of the year. And a gentleman named M.S. Corley, who was the cover designer for The Naturalist. Naturalist was like number 5 or 6 on there.
Wow, that's great.
So it's funny is like Amazon PR sent me congratulations Andrew Mayne for having the naturalist cover name and I quickly retweeted it and I said congratulations to MS Corley and put his hashtag in there for designing the amazing cover. Like that was I got this, the designs were amazing. I had a typographical suggestion, two minor things. The credit's all his. And that was really 30 best book covers of 2017. So quickly complimented and made it.
It's so great. It's been so much fun to see The Naturalist just take the hell off. It's been great.
Yeah. My pick, man, I watched this the other night. I haven't watched this in a few years, and it is a docudrama. It was, presented as a documentary. The things in there were not all true and were sort of, stories and all that, but it was a very interesting sort of exploration based on the book Pumping Iron. This is the movie Pumping Iron. Ever see it?
Oh, jeez.
Back in the 70s, the Arnold Schwarzenegger
too
vehicle.
Slow on that, sorry.
What's that?
Yeah, sorry, too slow to hit the mute.
Oh, yeah. So this is back in the 70s, the original Schwarzenegger documentary.
Yeah, it was the training of like the 100 days leading up to the Mr. Olympia, Mr. Universe contest, the 1975 Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia. Mr. Universe is the amateur, Mr. Olympia is the pro. And you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, Mike Katz, Serge Nubret, a lot of these kind of the golden era of bodybuilding as it became big. And it's this interesting sort of behind the scenes. It's Arnold's like 28, 27. He hasn't done a major movie role at this time, but he kind of plays the sort of, it's presented as real, presented as them, but the stories are sort of kind of, apocryphal or whatever, and things are edited to sort of add more sort of drama to it. But it's a lot of great quotable Arnold Schwarzenegger, lines from there. But he's, masses of people are, sworn in from autograph. Like, Arnold, do you drink skim milk? No. Do you drink milk? Like, no, milk is for babies. I drink beer. But you see that personality there in that. But as a documentary from the 1970s, it's also kind of neat stylistically from that point of view too. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. So,
right on.
Nice little throwback in time. Gentlemen, it's been after. And everything shuts off because Brian put a clapper too.
I just go clap, clap, and the stream just ends.
Yeah.
Though we did get our new UPSs installed.
Yeah.
I did a little test.
And do they run?
They do run. The one for the switching computer runs about 4 minutes before the computer goes into hibernate, which is good because then that leaves enough battery to run the mixer. And then the other one for the streamer runs about 10 minutes in total.
Oh, no, that's way better than I dared fear.
Yeah.
Because I know that those can suck down a lot more juice than one would expect.
All right, guys, I got to get some food before the show at 3, so I'll talk to you.
Brian's got to tell me something.
I do. But
Okay.
but let's get off that air.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you virtual guys.
Up into the sky, I can see a beam of